across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're not ready, man.
I mean,
Stop the tape.
I don't normally joke about this, but tonight I'm not. I've got the best technical operator in the business, the best producer of any program. Best.
Your phone's got fireworks display.
All right, okay. Can you just sort that out?
Let's edit this.
I know. I'm sitting here because we were encouraged to come into the studio about 15 minutes ago,
and
we've been sitting having a chat. I do apologise about this.
Big kerfuffle, man.
Yeah, I do apologise. I can't hear a thing. But anyway, welcome to the programme. I'm James Well,
Thanks,
back
man.
on Talk TV and Talk Radio together tonight. And I'm not sure how long I'm going to manage. I'm feeling quite depressed at the moment because I just got a call from my wife who said, why on earth are you wearing that shirt with that jacket? Now,
Well,
I didn't ask her for any advice, and as I've said, I was offering myself to advise what's her name on her dress.
it's no less vulgar than what you normally wear.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was okay. There's bits of blue
So that's
in the
that's
shirt
the test, isn't it?
that match the jacket.
It's got a peacock on it.
You know, maybe the handkerchief.
Got his Paddington Rupert Bear jacket on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. Right, before we start, I'm being told to get on with the show. Michael Fabricant is about to join us, former Conservative Member of Parliament and all-round good bloke. I always think Michael would make a really good stand-up comedian, but there we are. That's something
That could
else
be his new job, couldn't it?
we can talk about in a moment. If you're easily offended, or the word a lot of people use now, triggered, this is not the show for you. If you're easily triggered, bugger off, because quite frankly, I don't have any time for Gen Z, woke, or anybody else.
You're not welcome.
Likely to be... we'll be talking about the Gen Z. Apparently 90% of them are not proud of being British. 40%.
Wow, it's gone down quickly.
It's gone down since I came on the air.
That's good, it's working.
That is excellent.
It's working.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that later. Mr. Fabricant, a very good evening to you, sir. Welcome.
Hello, James. Now, you should do what I do and don't bother to wear a jacket, and then you don't have to worry about whether it's matching or not.
Do you know, that's a really good point.
That's how he's made his career.
That's a very,
That's why
very good point.
Jeremy Kyle does that. I always wondered. Because he has got very sickly jackets.
Oh, shit. Anyway, why are you not out on Valentine's night?
Because nobody loves me, and I got a message saying, actually, one person does.
Oh, me.
And that was you, James.
Yes.
So I had to come on the
You
show.
should have come in then, shouldn't you?
Yeah, Michael, you're absolutely
Could have got
right.
some candles.
And we do love you. Now, listen, seeing that all the good MPs from the Tory party didn't get back in at the last election, can we see you joining Reform in the near future?
I don't think so.
Not necessarily no, though.
So I don't think so.
I never rule anything out.
No, good.
That's basically a yes then.
Yeah.
No.
So, come on, you make the front pages of the papers tomorrow. 40% of young people, I thought it was more of Gen Z, are not proud to be British. What is wrong with some of the people in this country at the moment? Where else would you want to live?
But you know, I was thinking about this when it all came out. And in 1939, I think it was 1939, there was a Oxbridge Union debate. I think it was the Oxford Union.
Oh, that was the one you did, wasn't it? Yeah.
Probably.
And there was, would you fight for king and country? And the answer was no, we don't want to fight for king or country. And then when war broke out on September the 3rd, I think, 1939, they all joined up.
They had no choice.
Yeah, but we had a homogenous society then. We haven't got that. You'd be fighting for people who just come and staying in a 5-star hotel now. That's who you'd be fighting for.
That's part of the problem. And did you hear J.D. Vance,
Brilliant.
the deputy president, the vice president? I thought he was excellent, actually, in Germany, saying, you know, that the Europeans, as in the United States, have got to get their act together, because otherwise it's not just homogeneity that we'll lose in the UK. We'll lose the very, very spirit of what this country is all about.
And they weren't expecting that at the UN, were they?
No, we're being taken over. We are slowly, our culture is being removed by the, really use the wrong word there, by the idiots that we have in power at the moment. And we've got that David Lammy, pathetic, stupid man, who is apparently against the Prime Minister's wishes. I may have got this wrong, it's unlikely. Is starting negotiations on reparation for slavery.
That's right.
Is
That's
he
right.
this
And in fact, there's some video, isn't there, of him talking about this. Sorry, Ash?
He is very stupid. I mean, we saw him on Mastermind. We've seen he doesn't really know anything about anything. He shouldn't be foreign minister, should he? But will that J.D. Vance speech have an effect? Because it's embarrassed Europe, isn't it? And Germany and us.
Ash,
will it change anything?
Ash, can we just shut up for a minute? I know you want to take over, but I'm still here. So just shut the flip up for a moment. Sorry about this, Michael.
Question.
The pertinent question at the moment is, how does somebody like Lammy get into a position like this, particularly after the way he behaved towards the President of the United States of America before? We are not going to pay reparations for slavery.
No.
Can't somebody actually say that officially? It is not going to happen.
And nor should we.
No,
because,
we shouldn't.
This country got rid of slavery long before other countries, long before the United States.
William Wilberforce.
We actually have a very good record in this country, and we shouldn't be ashamed, actually. And you can't use 21st century mores to judge what was going on in the 18th century, because that's just plain stupid.
But otherwise, you go back, we want reparations from Italy. I don't think they could afford it. And how on earth anybody can think it must go into trillions?
And why is it just us? I mean, it was bought from the West African slave markets. Are they going to be paying reparations? Why is it just people in Britain?
That's right. And in fact, the Arabs have a lot to answer for, because they were the slave traders.
Well, they took us slaves, didn't they?
They were actually the ones who went into the interior of Africa. They kidnapped young tribespeople, took them to the coast, East Coast as well as the West Coast, and sold them to the imperial countries.
And North Africa, there was villages
Holland,
on the coast in here and Ireland.
Netherlands.
They took emptied old villages in this country and took them to slavery, the North Africans.
Yeah.
The Barbary pirates, yeah.
So why has David Lammy been allowed to keep leaking these ridiculously stupid things to the media?
Well, I think it's partly because I think that Keir Starmer hasn't really got control over any of his cabinet anymore. I mean, talking about incompetence, I mean, I've just been reading tomorrow's Times, which I think I can mention, given that you're all part of the same group.
I think you can.
I love the Times, and it's more about the wonderful Rachel Reeves. So it now turns out, we've heard about all the huge sums of money. It now turns out that she claimed £29.93 for a bottle of Moet and Chandon, which she bought in order to give to a colleague for entertaining and incentives.
She bought a handbag for over 100 quid as well.
However, it then turns out that actually she forgot to give that bottle of Moet and Chandon champagne. Personally, I'm quite surprised she could get it as cheap as £29.93, but I suppose that was a few years ago.
Yeah, I am.
It goes on. She apparently made a claim for sweet £9.40's worth of sweets for her team, £4.92 for biscuits, and for an away day. And how do you have an away day for £4.92? I really don't know.
Why would you claim those amounts?
£1.34 for a birthday card, she claimed. No, I mean, this is worse, I think, than MPs' expenses.
Yeah.
And talking about MPs' expenses, we also learn that she and a number of other Labour MPs had their House of Commons credit cards suspended because she wasn't using it properly, and she had to repay several £1,000s to the House of Commons before the card was reinstated.
So how can she be our
Chancellor?
Chancellor?
Looking after all our money?
Yeah.
She's not fit in the job. I mean,
No.
why is she still in a job? Can he get rid of her? Because he's sort of very linked to the Prime Minister, the Chancellor. Once you get rid of the Chancellor, look what happened to Liz Truss.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can't, can he? Will he get rid of her in a shuffle? He'll have to, really.
Well, I also read in the Times, this is a good advert for the Times, I was also reading in the Times this morning that there's talk of there probably being a small targeted reshuffle, was the expression they used, a small targeted reshuffle probably in the summer. So it'll be interesting to see whether Lammy lasts and whether Rachel Reeves lasts.
I want to say, listen, I've only ever been there once to the Caribbean, but it was just amazing. I'd love to go back, but I don't think I will be. But shortness of time, nothing else.
The wonderful thing about Barbados is that there are Waitrose supermarkets everywhere.
Well, I've not been
fantastic.
to Barbados, but I went to Antigua.
Oh, I've never been.
And just the most beautiful place. If you believed in all this sort of stuff, you'd say heaven on earth. But we can't be paying trillions of pounds in reparations. In fact, my view is we should be cutting back the amount of overseas aid until we get our finances back on track.
Shouldn't we get reparations from all the other countries? Because we spent a lot of our GDP. It wasn't cheap fighting all these other slave nations to reduce slavery. We should be getting compensation from them.
Okay. Can we talk about something sensible now?
And men killed, of course. Many men killed.
And that is about the Health Minister, Ashley Dalton. I'm sure you've heard of this. Ashley Dalton, this is a new Health Minister. Is it a she?
She's the one who says you can be a llama.
But apparently, and you can have a penis if you're a woman. Well, I mean, you can have a penis, but it wouldn't necessarily be yours.
Most have got the vaginas, or as Angela Rayner said, a growler.
Did she?
Yeah, that's what she said. She flashed a growler at Boris to put him off.
This is political correctness gone completely mad.
Yeah.
I mean, identifying as a cat, as someone decided to do on a bus the other day and using it as an excuse because cats apparently can travel free with that particular bus company. I mean, what on earth has Wokery come to? It's just crazy.
That's mental health issues. If you really think you're a llama or a cat, you really should be in a doctor and
but they don't, do they?
They encourage it. They encourage it.
A llama or a cat.
How have we got
trying
to
it
this
on. And Wokery started, let's remember, Wokery started in order to protect the vulnerable. But because people have taken advantage of the whole thing, it means that the vulnerable now are even more vulnerable to attack than they were previously. And it's a very selfish thing to do.
When did it begin? Was it because I saw a David Frost interviewing Enoch Powell, and the audience and David Frost seemed to be the beginning of woke.
What happened?
David Frost was interviewing Enoch Powell after the Rivers of Blood speech, and everyone was having a go at Enoch Powell and the audience, and that seemed to be the beginning of wokery in the 60s.
I
don't know about
David,
that.
well, Enoch Powell's speech.
What I'm concerned about, I don't know how you feel about this, Michael, what I'm concerned about is if we carry on the way we are at the moment, then some of these rather disgusting extreme right-wing organisations, like was mentioned earlier this week in one of the news channels, are going to get even more supporters. I don't want to see that. I've been doing this since the 70s, and the 90s was a good time. In the 90s, people got on much better.
Yeah.
And the first part of the 2000s. But we are heading for real trouble if our politicians don't start behaving properly. If they start saying, if you have any, we're being invaded by a bunch of people across the channel who, if they had guns, would be deterred. They're coming in illegally, they're coming in boats. The vast majority of people are concerned about this, but politicians don't seem to be. And they're breaking into this country. And what they do, they break in, we put them in a hotel, we give them money and food and everything else. And everybody says, oh, well, I don't, you're just extremely right-wing. Well, I'm not right-wing.
That's how they stop you. But it's a charade, our government, isn't it?
And this accusation that if anyone says what you're saying, you know what? You're far right. This is the thing that Starmer likes saying, the far right. And what about the situation in Preston where it was actually covered up? that the guy, the perpetrator, was, not actually. Well, was he born in the UK? I'm not even sure.
He was.
Was he born in the
Southport?
UK? Yeah.
In Southport. Yeah, the Welsh choir boy. But we've lost control of our democracy. The government aren't in control. The civil service, it's been captured from Tony Blair's shenanigans with the Supreme Court. You don't have sovereignty in Parliament. And as Dominic Cummings said, it's all a charade. It's all being decided. We've lost our democracy.
The problem is that things like what happened in Southport are going to happen more often.
Well, look at Germany.
Because of the rather stupid and thick people get carried away, as you say, in Germany. Look what they're doing now.
Sweden has a bombing every day in last month. Literally 30 days. It had one every day on average.
That's right. There's so much gang warfare now. Yeah. And really, as you say, it's partly because there isn't the homogeneity anymore between people who used to live in this country and... but having said that, we've got to be fair. A lot of people who do come to this country legally, are decent, hard-working people. And the problem is that when you get people like we've been talking about behaving as they do, it then reflects very badly on another part of the population, which is unfair. And it's unfair on them.
Yeah, this whole thing about 40% of people not being proud that they're British, it's like they're giving up, so that some people from other cultures, other kinds of life, who have come to live here, whose cultures are beginning to take over, their religions, the way they behave, are beginning to take over. We're going to talk to a guy. He was the first solicitor of the two thugs who... were involved in the Manchester...
They pleaded not guilty. But if you're 25...
That wasn't Keir Starmer protecting them then. It wasn't Keir Starmer defending them.
No.
But if you're 25 and you've only grown up since Tony Blair or after that, you're going to think this country's terrible, aren't you?
The great rule, and I've said this before, I think, on this programme, is that if you come to this country, you've got to adopt the ways of this country. Yeah. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. And, if you don't want to do that, then just don't come here. Don't try and convert the country to your ways.
Michael, just so you know, on this Valentine's evening, we love you very, very much, and hopefully we'll talk to you again fairly soon. Possibly when you've decided to join Reform, who knows, and we can get the first story.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we should just sort of leak it.
Yeah, let's just put it out anyway. Michael Fabricant says he'll join Reform in due course.
I didn't.
He sort of.
Michael, good to talk to you. Have a good weekend, my friend. Thank you very much indeed. We're going to take a break. Just before we do, I'm reminded I haven't given out the phone number, so...
just putting our movie out.
03444991000, whether you're on radio, and if you want to get on the air, definitely this is the best time to call. 03444991000.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Right, okay, welcome back. Thank you very much. Yes, Phil in Worthing. We're talking to you in a moment, Phil. We'll get you on.
Yeah.
If you want to join us, 0344 499 1000. If you want to just leave your point of view, because you don't like the idea
Like
I
Barry
shout at
Took,
you.
like the Barry Took show.
We could do a few of those voice notes. I don't like them as
WhatsApp,
much as
send a
calls.
voice message and we'll play it on
Tell
air.
them how to do it.
You go on, well, I just did. Go on WhatsApp, you go on your voice message and you leave a message. Shall I do one now? I could do it. Well, I haven't got the number.
No, I want to.
Just, you know.
Apparently, according to Martin in Caversham, hello, Martin.
Hi, Marty.
Nice to have you listening. He said, get Ash's jacket off him and wear that. It'll look better. I'm on the brink of an... Oh, right, okay. He said apparently it's making him feel bad.
Do you want to
looking
wear
at my
try
shirt.
my jacket on? I mean,
James and Ash, great to see you back, James. Thank you, James. Yes, you should listen to your wife say she's got more dress sense than you. Oh, dear.
but it's
That's
his trade.
Phil.
This is his trademark. Loud clothes.
Well, no, I just grabbed this jacket out of the wardrobe and I thought it would go with this shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, because it's got green in it, look.
No, it's gorgeous. I mean,
You see,
you
it's
know,
got green in it.
it's perfect.
And it's anyway, I forget it.
You're making
Forget
it worse. Don't you're drawing attention to it.
Yeah, no,
I don't
you're
think
right.
anyone noticed till you.
Let's have some first-time callers on. That'll make a change.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of
You
the
can
phone
see
call,
our
so-
short art house movie at Virtual Ash at the James Whale we did just before the show. It's only just gone out.
Probably not the sort of thing we're having a little problem getting the phone calls on at the moment, and as soon as we've
Soon as you
sorted
do,
out why,
We'll get back to you.
we'll get back to you. So we could talk about the other thing, and this whole business. It's really annoying me
What's that,
intensely. This whole thing about us paying reparations
Yeah, yeah.
for slavery, and we were the main country to actually fight against it, to say it was William
wrong.
Wilberforce, wasn't it? Who started the campaign against slavery. A lot of people got very upset, including the Church of
Emancipation.
England, because they thought it was...
Well, they were all in the
Perfectly,
business.
yeah.
I mean, actually, it's interesting you say that. A church by me, Stamford Raffles, who was William Wilberforce's neighbour in sort of Mill Hill, Totteridge, he was a part of the anti-slavery network, and they wouldn't bury him in the church because the vicar was part of a slaving family. So a lot of the Church of England people, the vicars, were in slavery business, and you know, they got reparations. The people who actually owned the slaves got paid out. We only finished paying the debt from it in 2015. The debt for the slavery.
Right,
but
hang
we
on.
should get
Are
reparations
we
for all the...
having problems now getting any of these calls on the air?
She's gonna
Yeah,
get
but
Cindy.
what's wrong with Margaret in Reading? And
I think no, Margaret's reading. She's reading, or is it Reading?
Margaret
You
in
spell it
Reading.
the same way. That's the beauty of the English language.
hiya, Cindy.
Hey, how are you?
I don't know at the moment, Cindy. Here we are with being able to get calls from America on the show,
Yeah.
and not calls from Britain on the show for some
That's a
reason.
Trump again. He's done it again.
Well, I'm a, you know me, I'm a giant fan. I love you guys so much. I wanted to be on video, but I know you guys are really super busy, so I didn't push it.
You could have been on video, but I think they're busy trying to sort out why we have a little problem.
Oh,
It's sorted
dear.
now. Oh, hang
Well,
on.
maybe not.
Okay, everybody can ring back now. They've sorted it out.
They've unclogged.
And then I
that.
said we have the best technical operator in the business
Yes,
tonight.
you know, he's had about 3 kids and 2
I
puppies.
know you. Oh, I wanted to tell you Happy Valentine's Day to the both of you.
Thanks, man.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Very kind of you.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
missed you. I totally missed you. The show wasn't. It was still good.
You careful.
kept the
Don't
fort up.
careful.
Yeah,
Just
you showed the fort.
leave it
You
now.
held it down.
He's been getting very upset and very disappointed. Yeah.
And
Oh, we've got the
Andre,
number up
yeah,
on the
he's,
screen
he's
now
a
as well.
rock and roll chap.
I mean, I just wanted to ask you. Normally, when you are our American correspondent, we made you.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you, how is the majority of America reacting to what Donald is doing with his sudden? I'm going to sort this out. If we don't get And J.D. Vance, obviously, today. If we don't get the hostages released by Saturday, there's going to be trouble. And there we are. They're beginning to release the hostages from tomorrow, which is great news.
Well, you know what I find? What I find utterly ridiculous is no matter what Trump does, the country is split 50-50. You know, and it's all on the people who voted for him and who didn't vote for him. No matter what he does, it's the people that already are on Trump's side remain, and then the others, they're just they hate everything.
But they've shut up a bit now. The people with it. They've shut up now, the Trump derangement syndrome people, haven't they? They've
Trump, that's the words I was looking for, Trump derangement, yeah. But talk about J.D. Vance. What a star. He threw the gauntlet down.
Yeah,
I
thought tonight, I agree.
And he did it at the UN. They were expecting a speech on Ukraine, and he just threw that in and sort of...
Oh, yeah. Did you see everybody's faces?
Yeah,
Did you see their faces?
There has to be something to bring peace now.
He's going to be the next president, I think.
Listen.
I think so, too.
Yeah,
I think so, too.
Cindy, next time, next week or whatever, hopefully we'll do you on video. Thank you very much indeed. James and Ash, my favourite time of the week has come. You've always had a colourful dress sense. I don't wear dresses often.
Never change.
Not on the show. I am just the same. Love the floral notes. Thank you. Never change. I love the floral notes. Phil from Devon.
They're peacock.
Thank you, Phil.
Actually, they're peacock
Are they
feathers.
peacock?
Yeah, very cool.
If you just joined us, and my wife has told me off for wearing this
Why
shirt.
didn't you check with her before? It was too late.
I should have done.
Yeah.
I feel I don't know. Mark, you're on the air. Good evening.
Gone.
He's
What's
gone.
going on?
I don't know.
You unbroke it.
Let's take a break and sort it out.
Makes sense of all this. Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. James Well Unleashed on Friday night, live on TV and radio together. If you want to join us, 0344 499 1000. We'll take some calls in a moment. Talking about anything we're talking about. If you want to talk about something completely different, you can talk about anything. And you can come on here and slag anyone off, whatever anybody tells you. If you want to leave a voice note, you can slag him off as much as you like. Okay, so let us now talk to Grace Badamosi. Grace, is a Gen Z political commentator. Grace, good evening. Welcome to the programme.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on.
And how do you become a Gen Z commentator?
Well, I think it just comes from sort of being interested in politics and understanding a little bit about the world, and then probably talking a bit too much.
Well, that's you. Could James be one then?
Gen Z? I don't think I'm Gen Z.
Z.
I don't know what it is.
This is the bastardisation. This is where it all begins.
So anyway, how did... this has got nothing to do with what I want to talk to you about. It just came into my mind, and unfortunately, when things just come into my mind, I have to talk about them. So many people are now political commentators, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
What did you do before?
Thanks.
I mean, I'm currently still a student at the moment, actually, so other than that, being a student, but I think...
So you're a student who set yourself up as a commentator?
I think I'm a student who studies politics, enjoys politics, and likes talking about politics, so...
And why do people put you on the TV and radio?
I think probably because people have liked what I've had to say and probably want to hear me keep talking.
I mean, well, we will, because, you know, it's like there's a programme called Love Island, which apparently, and all the people on it are very famous.
That's what Gen Z, they watch that, I think.
Is that what you watch?
It's not for you, it's for them.
Right, okay.
I mean, I haven't watched this latest season, but I think it was probably better in the earlier seasons, in my opinion.
Oh, you're getting old now, looking back on things, thinking of a better winning. So anyway, according to this new study by our friends at the Times, almost 50% of Gen Z, which you are representing tonight, think Britain is racist. How are we racist?
Well, I think that, as you mentioned, almost half of Gen Z believes that Britain is racist, which shows that this isn't a niche opinion. It's a widespread belief amongst younger people. And I think it's not about people being sort of anti-Britain or being unpatriotic, but it's about acknowledging that certain groups in society feel disproportionately disadvantaged, which when you look at the stats...
Who's disadvantaged?
Like the white working class?
Well, I mean, that is a particular group, yes, that is a minority.
But they're not considered, they're the ones causing the racism in that world, aren't they? They're never considered an ethnic minority.
We're talking about different things sort of interacting. Class is one group that is, you know, disproportionately affected. Race is another one. Gender is another one. We're talking about different groups within society that are disproportionately
But you can't be racist against a white person. We saw that court case the other day when that woman said you're stupid and white, and it was thrown out of court, even though the judge said it's obviously... So you literally can't, in law now, because of our two-tier system, be accused of racism if you say someone's white and stupid. So that's where it's sort of gone.
I think when Gen Z are talking about Britain being a racist country, they're talking about looking at the systems, looking at the institutions. We see a lot of the time that minorities are disproportionately affected. So we're looking at education, we're looking at policing, we're looking at institutions where people are supposed to be...
How are they? I don't understand what you're saying. Are you telling me that a person should get a job whether they are good at it or not, just because of their race?
Absolutely not. I would never say anything like that. I fundamentally believe in a meritocratic society, and whoever's best for the job should get that. What people are talking about and what people are asking questions about is how do we get to that point? Who is likely to go to a better school that will allow them to get the grades in maths or English that will let them
just
get
making
on
excuses.
Study engineering?
Gracie, you're making excuses. I failed the 11 plus, right? I went to a shit school. I got no qualifications whatsoever, and I suddenly woke up when I left school and thought I'd better try a little bit harder. So it's up to the individual, not where you go. It's up to the person who is involved as to how they do it.
Well, I mean, I'm happy that that works out for you, but if you'll let me get back to the point I was making.
But I'll let you get away with it.
This country wasn't racist; it's become more racist. I think
we'll do that.
Sorry, what was your question?
Well, I was saying this country was never right. We always had people, you know, I remember watching Play School. We had black presenters, you know, Derek Griffiths. We had newsreaders, Trevor McDonald. You know, this country was never racist.
This country was racist.
Before
back
then,
in the
maybe,
60s.
yeah.
Right.
You could walk through,
I mean,
hang on just a moment, you could walk through London and you would see signs up on houses saying no Irish, no blacks.
In the 50s and 60s, yeah.
And that was really quite depressing. And I'm concerned that unless we're very careful, Grace, very careful, we're going to head back to that kind of society where people are going to be against each other purely because of the colour of their skin.
I mean, exactly. I think that is a scenario that I'm trying to avoid, which is, I think, what most Gen Z people are also trying to avoid, which is about healing the divisions in society. You talk about a time where, previously in Britain, it was very racist. We had these divisions in society. We had these signs. Of course, it was worse historically, but that doesn't mean it's good now.
No.
I think we can always strive for
it's
improvement
bad
and make
now
things
because
better.
too many people are talking rubbish the whole time, and they're trying to. No, they are. We've allowed people to come and take over this country. We're now in a situation where the culture of this country is being
who's
attacked.
taking over this country?
Well, all kinds of people who want to live as they lived in another country. People who don't want to live the way Britain is regarded.
Yeah.
And, people are coming into this country because it is the best country to live in. Where else would you want to live? Tell me where you'd want to live, Grace.
I mean, I don't dispute the fact that Britain is a country that provides opportunity. Of course, that's why people immigrate here. What we're talking about is that when people become immigrants in Britain, they're not treated kindly, per se, that there is disparity in the economic opportunities to give in housing, in jobs. And
We haven't got enough housing for the people already here. We can't take any more.
I mean, no one's talking about giving out houses for free, but we're talking about if a person from an ethnic minority background who has the same salary as someone who comes from, relatively well off, tries to rent the same apartment, they may not necessarily be given the same opportunity. That's what people are talking about.
From an odd racist landlord. Most people aren't racist in this country. We try and we're not like America in this country. Most people aren't racist. You're going to get racist everywhere.
I mean, of course, you're going to get individual racists, but we're not just talking about the individual. People aren't necessarily saying that every teacher you encounter is going to be racist or every hairdresser you have is going to be racist. But we're talking about when you go into a system like education or policing, for example, where if you're black, you're 7 times more likely to be stopped by the police. We're talking about at the institutional.
But if you're white, you won't get in the police in the first place. So it's racist that way, isn't it?
Do you mean that you won't be hired by the police?
Yeah, and you won't get promoted as much.
I don't think that's quite true. I don't think that's.
I think it's true. I mean, there was police that actually won a court case recently for that very reason, because they weren't promoted when they should have been.
If a black person committed a crime,
right,
and the police in that area were told, look for a black guy who committed a crime, then what would be the point of not stopping all the black people you see and asking if you thought they...
And black people are the victims often. The black mothers are saying, a lot of them are saying, yes, bring in the sus laws. I mean, in Liverpool, it would mainly maybe be white. In Glasgow, it depends on the areas of the inner city
I mean,
areas,
again, I'm all about sort of rooting out crime within communities, but specifically with that statistic, actually. Black people are 7 times more likely to be stopped and searched, and that doesn't necessarily lead to the same number of arrests. So we're not looking at increasing crime rates. We're not looking at increases in people committing crimes. We're looking at increases in people believing that they've committed crimes, which again sort of leads to the point that I was making earlier, that it's a disparity in terms of policing.
Are you? Hang on a minute. Are you proud to be British?
I am proud to be British. Yeah. I would say I am proud to be British. I think a lot of young people want to be proud to be British. I think I want young people to be patriotic in Britain as a country. But when you look at the economy that they've been handed, when they're very unlikely to reach the same levels of home ownership as their parents, when on a salary that their parents were able to buy 3-bed semi on, that they're unable to rent
that's
a
a
room.
generational thing. Everyone's got that problem.
What would you do to right these wrongs? What would you do if you were in a position to do something? What should be done?
I think there are a few areas that we can get. I think, firstly, that we are making strides as a society, as you mentioned, but looking at areas like, firstly, policing with stuff like the Lamry Review and the other reviews looking into policing behaviours. I think we can look at the police as an institution and how they treat people. I think 11% of people aged 18 to 27 said if they were a victim of a crime, not a perpetrator, if they were a victim of a crime, that they would trust the police. That's only 11%. And that drops down to 7% if they were suspected to be a perpetrator. So policing is definitely one. Looking at education as well, making sure that people from all types of backgrounds are afforded the same opportunity to go to good schools, go to good universities, or go off to trades.
Life isn't like that, Grace. You'll learn one day. Unfortunately, life is not fair.
I mean, so you're saying that we shouldn't strive to make everyone
I'm not
have
saying we shouldn't strive to make it.
Well, he asked you how you'd
happier.
solve it, but you haven't actually said that.
I've started laying that out for you. I think policing is an area we could address. Education is another area.
What is
that's very
wrong with the
fundamental.
police? I mean, I think the police are too weak. I don't think they're tough enough.
Well, they're woke. They've gone down in their force. They're not a force anymore. The streets.
I mean, I don't think it's an issue of woke policing. I think, as set out in the Lammy review, people who are ethnic minorities.
Sorry, Lammy, are you talking about David Lammy?
The mastermind.
The Lammy review, yes.
The idiot?
I mean,
you're talking about a man who actually is talking about reparations for slavery
you can
a few
describe
generations
him
ago.
however way you like.
You know, he's an idiot, and I don't want to describe him at all. He's probably one of the few people who's going to ruin this country.
You can have whatever opinion you would like.
I
on
can,
David
you're
Lammy
right,
himself,
so can you.
The independent report that was looking into policing in the country, that was actually, I think, sort of the mandate for the report was actually by David Cameron and Theresa May, if I'm not mistaken. So it was actually a cross-party effort on that, looking at disparities.
David Cameron just as bad.
He was useless.
Yeah.
He didn't change
again,
what
you
Blair
can have
did.
whatever opinion you like on
Thanks,
the
man.
individuals themselves, but the point doesn't change that the statistics and the numbers show that ethnic minorities are being treated.
What about
differently.
jobs, though?
Shows that-
What about the disparity in jobs?
I think
What would you do there?
we've reached an end here because we're not going to agree.
Yeah, I don't think
you know, the fact is
We tried.
we tried. The fact is that you want life has never been fair. People are not equal. I'm sure you think you're better than we are, and we probably think we're better than you are. But that's the human
I don't
condition.
think that. We're all equal.
I think
Really?
we, as a society, Britain, that prides itself on providing people with opportunities, is better placed to continue to give people opportunities. I don't know why trying
Without
to do
race
that.
discrimination, let's ignore identity politics. Just like you said,
I mean,
meritocracy, the best
that's
job.
a bit of an interesting way to phrase that. Let's ignore one of the things that is unequal in society. That's sort of the point we're trying to address.
But you're causing
more
racism.
gender
You know, if you
inequality
want a
about-
meritocracy, you can't do identity politics.
I
can
mean,
you?
this country, according to Stuart, who's just sent me an email, he said, James, please tell this lady, Britain is constantly rated as third least racist country in the world, behind Brazil and Sweden.
Right. Well, again, I think firstly
Mind you, I don't know that Sweden isn't racist.
They're probably
now.
changing their minds now.
That point of comparison, I think, doesn't address, again, still looking at Britain itself. Of course, there are places that could be more racist. That doesn't change the fact that there's racism within Britain. Saying that, you know, there's places where more
You're never
crime
going to get
happens,
rid of
therefore
racism,
we
are
shouldn't
you?
police
It's a state
crime
of
in the
mind, isn't
UK.
it?
No one would accept that. No one would accept that kind of statement that more people are killed in a different country, so we shouldn't address murder in the UK.
Yeah.
That obviously sounds ridiculous.
And so
with
what you're basically saying, although you're not prepared to say it, is that somebody of a minority race ought to be given a bigger chance than somebody who isn't. So we're all down to the colour of our skin.
I would never say that.
that's
want
what
to
you
give
really
people
want to
from
say.
all backgrounds.
You'd
in
love to
all
say that,
walks of life, the
but you're too
opportunity
scared to say
to
it.
achieve what they want to achieve. And I think that.
Not everybody can achieve what they want to achieve.
But I think everyone should be given the opportunity.
I wanted to be a Hollywood movie star.
They wouldn't
Okay.
let. They wouldn't let him.
Well, I think ultimately, at the end of the day, if Britain is a country that wants to call itself fair and equal and being able to provide opportunities to people, I don't see why it's a bad thing that young people want to keep pushing on that aspect and want to keep pushing for, you know, ethnic minorities and other minorities.
How old are you, Grace?
But that's racist.
I'm 22.
Okay.
That's racist.
Well, I
isn't
hope
it?
you have a good life. I'm 50 odd years older than you.
No, I'm about your age.
And are you rubbish? Grace, thank you very much indeed. That was Grace Badamosi, who is a Gen Z political commentator. The interesting thing about this I found now, any of you guys want to be a commentator about anything, you could just say you are. Ring up a TV or radio station program.
Just say you are.
And say, oh, I'm a commentator on whatever, and you'll get on.
It wasn't like that for John Motson.
They won't make
Had
you
to
any
work
money,
at
but
it.
there we are. We've got to take a little break.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're back in the room.
No, yeah, we're back in the room. I've just been told what I can and cannot say to you know.
Right, yeah.
I find that really difficult, but I can't work out how it is illegal to say what I was going to say.
Well, it is. Just realise it is.
Do you think it? Yeah.
The society that we're in now, things are illegal. We don't even know that they're illegal. You just get taken away.
My wife is upset I'm wearing this shirt with this.
With the jacket combat. Well, just that shirt's bad enough, but then you put that.
Anyway, listen. Let's move on. Valentine's Day today. We've got loads of phone calls. Phones are working now. Sorted it all out. Thank you very much indeed.
Give us a ring now.
Evening, gents. Who is this girl? Enlightened, too much university. My dad slung me out 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. I was given nout.
Far too late.
Looked hard, got a job in print, many years a graphic artist, ducking and diving, being good and honest. Too much city, too much cry of victims. I didn't get born into money, blah, blah. And a lot
60
of people,
and not a pot to piss in.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people don't have an easy life. It's got nothing to do with the colour of their skin. Right, let's talk about love.
Use a milk bottle.
According to a recent study, 63% of men under the age of 30 are now single.
Yeah.
Well, so?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, that's the way. They're all on their Tamagotchis.
When I got married at 18.
Well, they're all on Netflix and on their Tamagotchis and Facebook and bullying people on various social media.
I'm getting to that. Of both kinds, of any gender, yeah. Don't worry.
Why have they got a picture of you from the past next to us?
Me?
Yeah, look, that's a picture from you in the 60s.
No, that's Johnny.
He's got those old headphones on as well. That's you, isn't it?
Nice, they're nice, quite nice ones.
Not you.
Anyway, with the majority of women choosing to date men in their 30s and 40s, why have young men
and 50s
fallen out of love with dating? Johnny Seifert is a podcast and dating expert who has been single for over 10 years. Johnny, I thought you were... I didn't realise you were single, mate. I thought you had it all going on.
Not even 10 years, my friend. 32 years. I've never had a girlfriend, never had a Valentine's Day, and never had anyone want me. So, yeah.
You must be worth a fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grass is green. I am going away in a couple of weeks, and I'm taking 8 books with me for a week for peace and quiet. So there are perks to being single.
There you go, then.
So, all right, why do you think you've never had a regular girlfriend? Never, ever? Not even one for... couple of months here, couple of months there.
Yeah, but they're not official girlfriends. You know what I mean? It's like a fling. It's like we're at the exclusive stage or not exclusive stage, and then it's kind of fizzled out.
Why does it fizzle out? Why doesn't it move on to the next stage?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think the first reason is work. I think now we are so determined to work as hard as we can and as much as we can that you don't really allow yourself to have the relationship. So, you know, when I was working at 4 a.m. or I was doing a 6-day week getting up at 3 a.m. I don't think the universe was saying, look, it's now time to have a partner because you're focused so much on work. And it's only in the past couple of months I've gone, right, I've actually got a lot more free time now to actually date and actually invest in it rather than thinking, well, I've got to do some work now. And I think it's really hard to date in the 21st century now. It's not a case of going to a pub and meeting someone. It's the apps. You know, everything is based on these apps, which are based on an algorithm. And I generally believe that an app like Hinge, for example, the algorithm means that they want me to stay on the app as long as possible. They know I've been on there for 10 years. They don't want to get me off. And then you've got an app like Raya, which you have to get accepted onto. Right. I know people who get accepted in a week. I've been waiting for a year. I've got 25 referrals, and I still can't get on the Raya app.
Oh, why can't you just meet somebody and get on with it? And
in
chat
a bar.
In a bar or a club.
Because it doesn't happen like that, gents. And the problem is as well, I've got imposter syndrome, and my confidence isn't...
Sorry, what is imposter syndrome?
He thinks he's James Wales. As a young man.
If you use my name like that again, you're off.
I'm an introverted extrovert, so I find it really hard to be in group settings. I love one-on-one. You know, guys, I will talk to you for hours one-on-one. But you put me in a group and I don't like it because I'm not the centre of attention. I don't know how I fit in. So I can't go into a group setting and go, oh, look, I can be my authentic self, because I don't like that version of me. I need to feel really comfortable, and then I'll open up, and then I'll be louder. So there's no point putting me in a bar. And also, it's hard as well when you want to date specific people. So for me, I'd only date a Jewish girl. There aren't places to just go and hang out with Jewish people anymore like you used to back
What
in the
about
day.
the J dates?
Hang on, why would you only date a Jewish girl?
Ash, over to you.
Well, I mean, I've dated non-Jewish girls. You know, you should try. There's some great non-Jewish girls.
I think traditionally, from the group the world that I've been brought up in Northwest London, going to a Jewish primary school, secondary school, effectively a Jewish university, it's all I know. I only know that world, and I think there's such a culture difference between Jewish people and non-Jewish people. For me personally, this is like my own personal perspective, that I don't think I would understand their world, and vice versa. I would never want to date someone who eats pork and seafood, for example, because I've been brought up knowing that's what I would call naughty food. And so,
and if you kiss them, you're going to get that taste as well of the bacon.
Can I?
Well,
I'm not being rude here, Johnny. I've known
tell
you
me, let's
quite
have an
a long
honest
time.
chat.
I'm not being rude here.
About to be rude,
but
that means.
I'm amazed, because I would have thought, I didn't realise you'd never had a partner. I would have thought you would have had one. But I am amazed that you follow this kind of, to me, because I'm completely anti-religion, this kind of view.
It's a cultural thing. It's not a religious thing, is it?
Yeah, cutting certain people off because I couldn't live without a bacon sandwich.
But I don't think it's indoctrination. I think it's all I know. You only know what you know. And so if I've been brought up in that world, and and a lot of the conversations I have with my friends always goes back to school. And being in a Jewish school, if you were seen to socialise with a non-Jewish person, everyone made a comment about it, because the world that we grew up in was so heavily Jewish influence. And so it's not indoctrinated, it's tradition, it's based on what you know. I'm a very small minority, so it's very hard.
I've seen that in northwest London. It is. I mean, where I come from, it wasn't really a big Jewish, so I was mixed in a non-Jewish school and actually a Jewish school, but there was not a lot of non-Jewish. In fact, it's 90% Muslim, the Jewish school in Birmingham now. So, and I've seen in the north, it's a very quite insular. Everyone's hanging out with each other.
Well, I went to the biggest Jewish school in Europe, right?
It's got 4,000 people, isn't it, in there?
Yeah, and it had 300 in a year, 4,000 people in the school. And so we all know everyone. And therefore, when you do things like you tour around Israel when you're 16, everyone knows someone who knows someone. So the bubble is so small. And Ash, I don't know if you remember, we bumped into each other once at a restaurant.
At the deli, wasn't it? At the deli?
Yeah, it was actually. And there were 4 people there.
It was by the meat counter.
I'm having an idea.
I was getting a couple of salami slices.
Can you shut up being an absolute twallop?
I'm just telling you what I was
the fact is that he does appalling things, as you probably heard, in his private life. Why don't you hang out? Why don't you two hang out together for a while?
Yeah, man. Well, you don't live far. We could hang out, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
I can be your wingman, man.
And this is the thing, you just need to have, and if we're talking about Valentine's Day, it's you need people who are going to help you. And I find, especially with my friends now who have all moved on and had been kids and they're all married, that you're kind of left alone. And so part of the reason I also think I'm single is I've got no wingman, because I'm just fending for myself. And if I'm not really helping myself put me out there and no one else is helping me, then no one's doing anything.
Are you self-defeating, do you think? Because you've got this attitude, maybe it's coming out, you know, subconsciously to people that you don't want to be in a relationship. Do you think that?
Yeah, I think there's an element that I know what I want and I'm not going to settle for second best. And if it's right and it works, then brilliant. But I've also got a lot of independence. I'm very happy with my life. I want someone to add to it, not take away from it.
Do you think that you are perhaps just too picky, to be quite honest? I mean, that you should actually
aim lower.
Aim
Is that
a
what
little.
You're saying?
Yeah. Can you move that?
Scrape the barrel a bit.
Because we've lost the computer.
Why should you aim lower? Because you're right, and it's that interesting question of, you know when someone says you're punching, but who's given those parameters of, if you know what you're attracted? I've had dating agents in the past who go, you need to be with this girl, and I'm like, but that's not what I'm attracted to. No one can tell me what I'm attracted to but me. I'm the only one who can tell myself what I find good looking and not. And
what do you find good looking, Johnny?
I find you both good looking.
Yeah,
James.
I know.
Yeah, but which one would you pick?
I mean.
Well, call in if you fancy a bit of Johnny, by the way.
Hang on. Are you looking for a couple of guys looking like us?
No, I'm all right, mate. Sorry.
Are you sure?
We're known as bears.
So if you're opening up the Johnny Seaford dating agency,
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone who is into self-development, who loves a bit of reality TV, loves to go to an all-inclusive hotel, sit
Forget
by
all
the
that stuff
infinity pool and
physically.
relax.
What do you like? Come on.
What do you
Physically, I like the Marbella tanned, brown, like Marbella style look. Do you know what I mean? Like the Love Island-y style.
He's
look.
describing Lizzie Cundy, isn't he?
I was
boobs,
with Lizzie
small
Cundy the other
boobs.
day for lunch, funny enough.
Legs. Cut to the chase. Legs, boobs, big, small, athletic, voluptuous.
I'm not going to talk like that, but I will say someone between the age of 23 to 30, lives in London and loves the Jewish community and Friday night dinner.
Thank you very much indeed, Johnny. I'm so sorry to
Leave
hear
it
about
with
all your
us.
problems. We've got to go for the news at 11. Talk to you soon, Johnny. I don't think he's going to find anybody with those
Give us a ring if you fancy a
parameters.
piece of Johnny.
Yeah, if you fancy a piece of Johnny, if you think you could change him in some way, that will be good.
Yeah.
But why don't
He's a
you...
lovely guy. I mean, we've known him a long time.
He used to work. Let's be
He
honest,
used to be a lovely
work on
guy.
this
He's not
show.
so much anymore. No, he's a great
But
guy.
we had to get rid of him.
Celebrity knows all the celebrities as well. Get you in all the celebrity things.
So if you're... but I didn't know he'd never had a partner.
No, I didn't know that.
No.
Well, we can
You
sort
get that
out.
very quiet. But you know him. You kind of mix in his...
I mix
Well.
it. Well, I'm not far from. I don't really mix in it, but I'm willing to be his wingman. Take
Should
him
we
out,
do the
Johnny.
news at 11?
Yeah,
and talk
news
more
at 11.
after?
Let's do it.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Unleash Friday night. Welcome to the programme. Now, if you want to join us, 0344, let's put it up on the screen. We don't need Ash's name up there, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
0344 499 1000 is the number to ring. If you're listening to us on radio, or if you're watching us on TV, it's the same number to ring. Now, if you're easily offended, then this is not a show for you. So just so that, I don't break any Ofcom
Just
rules.
leave the room now, quietly.
You're likely to be triggered or one of those things. You shouldn't be
leave.
tuned now, okay?
Stand up
So
and
there we
leave.
are, 0344 499 1000. Loads of calls. We're going to go to calls in a moment. First, let's talk about this. Broken Britain. Because Britain is well and truly broken.
It's broken. It's broken, isn't it?
Controversial lawyer has launched a party for neglected communities. Ahmed Yaqub and Shakil Afsar are both independent candidates for the Independent Candidate Alliance, or they're both candidates for it. Ahmed actually became famous when he began to represent. You remember the two guys who got into a fight with policemen at Manchester Airport. So let's meet Ahmed and Shakil now. Good evening to you guys. Oh look, they look like us.
Yeah.
Welcome. Now, first of all, you're known as the TikTok lawyer because you have got a pretty big following on social media, my friend. Tell us why Britain is broken.
You seem to think Britain is broken, so I think you probably can answer that question better than me.
Well, no, because I'm a man asking the questions and you're the man answering them.
Child poverty is amongst the most prioritized thing that I always campaign for. Crime rate is at the highest. Unemployment is at the highest.
Well, no, it's not actually, but that's something we could argue about because it rather depends on what bit of the country you're in. But you're focusing on Birmingham, aren't you? And you reckon that
No, not just Birmingham, we're focusing nationally.
Oh, right, nationally, because I was led to believe that this was going to start off as a party that was going to drive the Labour Party out of power, particularly around the Birmingham Midlands area.
That was the initial sort of plan, but since launching, we've had interest from all over the country. And today we've just come back from Oldham, and we've made alliance with the Oldham Independent Group. They have now joined us, and we're going to be working in collaboration with them. I was actually near your studio, so I did ask my assistant to message your colleague or your assistant to come into studio, but you had no space.
Well, we have a very small studio. It's here.
We've only got one.
Yeah,
one
and you know, I'd probably end up being very unfair on you if you were here. I'd feel I'd
sometimes
have to be.
It's not worth it.
You know, yeah. Let's. Sorry, Shakil, you're very quiet on this. What is your role?
Well, my role is first of all to call out a lot. Well, I could say people like yourself, actually.
Why? What have I done to it? What have I done to upset him?
What's he done?
I've hardly done anything
apart from that shirt and jacket.
Well, you did say at the start of your show, if anyone gets triggered easily, they should leave the room. But
yeah.
We have to say that.
Well, we have to say that.
The ICA has been and has been formed because of particularly the disproportionate representation and the gross representation of our communities by channels like talkTV. And with all due respect to you, with all due respect to both of you, we feel that our communities are disproportionately represented in all avenues, and institutional racism.
Start your own radio and TV station. The two of you could do that. Start your own radio and TV station.
Well, we might just do that.
We'll probably do that, actually. We're thinking about that.
Well, you should get your chairs at the right level.
Let's go through some of the things you've done. Now, you've been criticised by the Muslim Women's Network. We had them on the other day. You've been criticised for being misogynistic. Words on a podcast called Minted Minds. Were you aware of that?
I'm aware of that. I'm also aware that you were suspended for laughing on air about a woman who had been raped.
I didn't laugh on air. I wasn't suspended.
You just actually libelled him.
You just libelled me.
As a lawyer, you should know not to libel people.
My face made it look as if I was smiling. I certainly wasn't. But I apologise presumably. So are you misogynistic? Are you against women?
Of course I'm not against women, and I don't laugh.
Or do you just want to take me on? Have you come on here purely to take me on? Because if you have, it's a waste of time.
No, I don't want to take no one on, but you asked me a question about being misogynistic.
Well,
so
are you misogynistic?
You said 70% of hell is going to be women. In my household, I'm the king. I call the shots, and my wife listens to me and is appreciative. Did you say those words?
Doesn't your wife listen to you, and isn't your wife appreciative?
No.
I don't think
Not
she
at
is.
all.
My wife is appreciative of me because I go out there.
Maybe she's scared of you.
Money back home, and my kids are fed, and I've got a nice house. And my wife.
So that gives you the right to order her around. You're the captain of the ship. You wear the trousers.
Nothing to do with me. I'm sorry, Ash.
Can we bring it back to some kind of sensible discussion? You see yourself as maybe another version of reform. Is that right?
No, not another.
Which one's Farage and which one's Thomas?
I mean, we do have things in common. We are against the Labour Party and the Tories, the mainstream parties. We are against them.
We're all in agreement there.
Things in common.
Yeah.
We have more things in common with Reform probably than Labour.
But who should vote for you? Because who are you representing?
Well, any individual who feels underrepresented. Unfortunately, the Labour Party has done nothing other than pander to our communities for votes at an election time. And then when we actually ask them to put our concerns forward, and there's many of them concerns. One of those concerns I can name from the top of my head was the indoctrination and sexualization of our school kids in 2019. Labour Party was nowhere to be seen when the community who elected them wanted them to come forward and speak for the Abrahamic faith children, whether some of them were Jewish, some of them were Christian, some of them were Muslims. But Labour was nowhere to be seen. So the ICA has become into inception on the back of misrepresentation and the Labour Party taking our votes in our communities up and down the UK. Like my colleague said, we have just formed a branch in...
All right.
And this is going to be, we intend to go up and down the UK.
So, Shakil, what you're telling me, both of you are telling me, is that you are not a political party that is just aiming at people who are of the Islamic faith.
No, of course not.
Right.
We are aiming at people who have been neglected, and they could be of any faith. When I campaigned for the mayoral election and I got 69,000 votes, it wasn't just Muslim people. There are white people who feel neglected. There are black people. There are Jewish people. All sorts of people in the West Midlands were feeling neglected by the mainstream parties who they have been voting for all their lives. That's why they chose me. That's why I received over 69,000 votes, and that's never happened in political history. So it must show you something. People want change, and we are going to deliver that change.
Yeah, but I mean, certain schools. What about that school in Batley where the teacher's still in hiding from people who are threatening to kill him? What is your views on that? Have you ever been involved in anything like that?
Which school in Batley?
There was a school in Batley where the teacher's still in hiding 3 years later for a religious education lesson showing a cartoon, I think. That was deemed to be. You don't know anything about that?
Well, I'll add on that. We know the teacher's in hiding, but you can't actually, for your viewers, just say the teacher's in hiding. First of all, you have to put in context what happened at the school.
Should the teacher be in hiding for what they did?
What images were shown?
Should they be in hiding?
With the ICA?
I think it was a Mohammed cartoon. He re-showed that or something.
Yeah, well then, if that's not incitement, and
so he deserves to be killed. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't.
That's why he's in hiding.
I never said that. I said that if he's deliberately inciting a community who he knows are going to get upset.
I don't think he knew that.
By something, then for him to do that.
What about the autistic kid that scuffed a Quran accidentally, who had to go and his mother had to apologise?
Sorry.
Do you know about the autistic school child that scuffed a Quran accidentally? And his mother had to come and apologise.
I'm sorry, I don't know about that.
You don't know about all these. You should find out about all these. We're going to start a big political fight.
When are you putting people forward for election next?
Sorry?
When are you going to be able to put people up for election?
Well, if there is a by-election anywhere in the country, most definitely.
Yeah.
The 26 council elections in May, all-out council elections, they're happening all over the country. So there will be candidates all over the country from the ICA. And also my own next election will be the West Midlands mayoral election next.
Okay. One last thing I want to ask you, and don't get upset with me for asking you this, but will there be aspects of Sharia law brought in to what you are actually representing?
No, I won't get upset with that question, but I want to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Go on.
Why is it that Sharia law has to get involved in everything?
Well, no, it's just something I was told by a
I haven't
researcher
mentioned it
that
whatsoever.
But-
and let me give you a fun fact.
Okay.
For example, Saudi Arabia have got Sharia law. What is the difference between crime rate there and here? You probably wouldn't know.
Well, I do know the crime rate's a lot less there than it is here.
Of course it is.
So you're saying that maybe
I don't
it's...
implement that. That's the Saudi government. If
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted
So you think
to-
it's a good thing, the
if I
Sharia
wanted,
law?
of course, having no crime is a good thing.
Yeah, but would you include executing gay men? Would you include executing gay people?
No, but the question.
No,
Why not? If you believe they're doing a good thing.
A rational question.
Well, you just said Saudi Arabia is a great thing. What they're doing, but this is the sort of things.
Well, no, that's a silly question.
I mean, you just said
That's a silly
If I
question.
wanted
he
to live
admires
in
their
a-
system.
If I wanted to live in a Sharia compliant country, I wouldn't be living in the United Kingdom. I would move and do politics in that country. I'm doing.
They
it
wouldn't
here.
let you there, would they?
Yeah, I was born here, and we have a democratic right to vote for.
So you want to
whoever-
bring it in here, is what you want to
We
do?
have a right to form a political movement, which we are doing. We
Okay.
were reluctant to come onto the show because we know this would be riddled with Islamophobia, and there is.
There's no shut up a minute. There's no Islamophobia here.
And
I'm
we are
asking you
then bye-bye
questions that
being
people
right.
want to know. That's all I'm doing. Thank you guys very much indeed. We'll follow with interest the Independent Alliance. Is it the Independent
Independent
the
Candidate
ICA,
Alliance,
the Independent Candidate Alliance, that is starting up as a new political party.
And look out for their new show as
to
well.
represent everybody. Is what they're saying. We'll take a break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're back on air.
Simon who?
Don't call us if you
What
don't want to
about?
go on air.
What about?
We'll get him back. What he's got to tell us.
What
Get
an
him
idiot.
back, yeah. Gene,
I know.
Gene.
You know we're back on air, don't you?
Are we?
Yeah.
Well,
I was just getting really relaxed.
Yeah,
it's
it's a very short breaks these days. Yeah.
Okay, so that's another political party for us to keep an eye on.
Too many political parties.
Yeah. And then, maybe we should start one.
Well, why not? Everyone else is.
Yeah. Right, okay, let's take some calls.
We're in the Monster Raving Loony Party, though, don't forget.
Jean, shall we?
In Felixstowe.
Yeah, Jean, good evening.
Hi, Jean.
Hello.
Let's hope so.
Hello. I just came out of the hospital. I had an operation on my back, and it was a success, and I'm delighted.
Good.
I couldn't walk hardly before, and I can now, but that's beside the point.
Was it a disc? Was it?
Can we get to the point, because I've got other things to talk about.
Tell us after.
But anyway, as I say, I didn't ring up about that. I just rang up to say how delighted I am to hear James on the radio again. Well, I've been listening, but, to hear him tonight, he sounds really on form. And the rest
What about
of
his
the
shirt,
team
though?
are great as well.
What about his shirt and jacket?
Jean, are you watching on the TV too?
No, I can't watch it on the TV.
I don't blame you, yeah, I agree. A lot of people say that, they can't
on the
watch
radio,
it.
very boring, but the radio is excellent anyway. But I'm delighted with the show, and Mrs. and of course Lady W as well. She's got my support. She's great, and I just wanted to say how much I respect James.
You respect him?
Well, Jean, thank you. Jean, you are on the air talking to me.
No one's ever said that.
I know. I respect you, and James.
Yeah.
And
well, that's
I just wanted to say, how much I do love the show, and you've made me feel much better. Well, as I say, I feel a lot better anyway since I had the operation.
But we give that extra bit. Yeah.
Jean, it's our pleasure.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much indeed, Jean, and we do appreciate the call, which is very nice, because normally
don't like
people
that sort
ring
of
up
thing,
to
do you? You
say
don't
how
really
horrible
like that,
we are. Thank you, Jeannie in Felixstowe. Baz in Hull. Baz, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
Ethan, I'd like to say about the new health minister. The new health minister making out that apparently you can be a woman instead of male genitalia. I mean, I think that just sums this Labour government up to a T. It is an absolute jerk. I'm sick and tired of hearing things like that. If you have male genitalia, you cannot be a woman.
And she says you could be a woman llama on top of it.
Exactly. I find it extremely concerning that it's the health minister.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when just a random person says that, but when it's the health minister, my word, this country has serious problems.
Do you think eventually something will break? I mean, we saw J.D. Ranson talking, yesterday at the UN. Things have gone so crazy, and we can only take it so much, can't we? And then what do we do? We've got no real opposition.
That's a good point.
Thanks.
It's a good point. Baz, agree with you. Thank you very much indeed. Lee in Birmingham, thank you. And Lee in Harlow, agree with both of what you're saying. Karen, good evening to you. Hello, Karen.
In Kilgreggan. Cregan.
Good evening, James. Good evening, Ash.
Evening.
Long time no speak.
Yeah, man.
You're looking very dapper tonight, James.
Thank you, Karen. At least somebody understands. My wife.
Have you got your colour tuned in on your telly properly?
My wife phoned in and said I looked.
I was just going to say there's no clash there at all, but I dare say a blind man on horseback riding for his life wouldn't have noticed the clash.
Oh,
no, that is true.
Thanks,
and that is
Karen.
most of our audience, blind men on horseback.
Will you stop it?
Yeah.
You're being
No,
stupid.
it
Sometimes you don't think.
What do you mean? I never
Shut
think.
up.
You haven't time to think.
Sorry, Karen. No,
in this
but
business.
That's all right. Feel free to argue. You usually do. And can I just say,
Sorry,
Ash,
Karen.
you're looking great without that weird Martian tan you had.
No, I was on the sunbed yesterday and it burnt my face. Well, no, the truth is we've only got two makeups, dark or light.
A holiday on Mars.
Yeah, we've only got dark makeup and then Dr. Dave's makeup. And
Karen, can you come in and work for us?
No, you couldn't afford me.
That's true.
Damn.
Listen, it is so good to see that pair back together because you're just absolutely amazeballs. I've been listening this evening. I haven't phoned because I was a bit under the weather.
Oh,
you're on there.
I know how you feel. The weather's been very horrible.
Well, especially up there, imagine. It's bad here. Imagine what it's like up there.
Excuse me?
Well, you're used to it up there, aren't you, in Scotland?
Ignore him.
Yes.
Will you
no,
stop
honestly.
it?
I mean,
now?
down here is like the summer you've got.
No, Ash isn't wrong in Scotland. You have to.
God.
You have to be. We start off blue. You have to be out in the sun for about 4 hours to go to white.
Yeah.
Then 5 minutes later, you look at Ash, who's been on Mars.
Yeah. If you see a white Scottish person, it means they're sunburned.
Yeah.
If you see either you've been out in the sun for at least 4 hours.
Yeah.
No, guys, I wanted to phone and say I'm glad to see the team back together. You're looking brilliant.
Karen, thank you very much indeed. But and my warning to anybody: if you get this flu virus, the new one that I've had, which put me in hospital
Flu
for a
A,
few weeks,
influenza A.
Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Very
I
seriously.
See, that's what my problem was. About 3 weeks before Christmas, everybody had the lurgy. I mean, we do just before. It avoids having to do family things.
Yeah.
That my lurgy turned out to be a chest infection that became pleurisy, that became pneumonia, then my lung collapsed. Long story short, I spent Christmas and New Year in the hospital.
Me
and
too.
I cannot. Oh, superb! What was the Christmas lunch like?
Rubbish.
What was yours like?
I wouldn't take my oxygen mask. I was like,
But I thought Lord
breathing
Grossman was
or
doing all the
eating.
meals.
No.
I was honestly.
In fact, I had a cheese sandwich, I think it
breathing.
was, yeah.
I'll go.
all right.
Oh, do you know what I did do? I had some chocolate hobnobs.
Good. My favourites.
Because
Karen,
then-
always have a chocolate hobnob. Thank you very much indeed, Karen. Good to talk. Emma's in London. Emma, good evening to you. Unleash yourself.
What I would like to say is, I was listening to your previous lady who was saying she was proud to be British and did not want to listen to what you were saying.
What?
And also,
The guest, the first guest.
there's two Muslim people that were saying. Can I just say one more thing? They were saying Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. What about Hindu people who have come into this country,
And Sikhs,
who have been here since 1963, have been paid, they've been working hard all their lives and everything, and now they're trying to get work and everything. It's difficult for them. It's mainly because, we're not going to go towards you or anything. Even the certain MPs where I live, when I go to her for help, don't contact me. If you contact me, I'm going to take serious action against you.
Why, are you a horrible person?
That's what she said.
Oh. Well, in that
That's
case,
what she was saying.
yeah, thank you for your
Everything.
call, Emma. I don't want to risk it with a horrible person, do we? I think we need to take another break.
Yeah, I think we need.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Right, welcome back. James Whale is unleashed.
Starring
Apparently I am. Andrew Eborn has joined us because I am probably going to head off in 15, 20 minutes. As people who are new to the programme probably don't know, I have terminal cancer and it affects me a little bit. I've been in hospital with this. I got flu on top of it, which was pretty annoying. So I am not. I'm getting back to work. And
you get a bit knackered, but you
get a bit
back
knackered,
into it. Yeah.
But you know, I've enjoyed it. Andrew's here, my lawyer.
It's medicine for you.
Check everything out.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need one.
Yeah, we're going to do the front pages. Let's just take a couple of calls before we do this. Let's stick on a couple of calls,
Yeah, man.
and do that, and then we can go and do the papers.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Have
We
you
don't want
got
to rush
an
into
earpiece
it.
and-
I'm already hooked up. I love it. Hooked up on Valentine's Day. It's not quite what I was expecting.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
In that case, we will go and take a call. Baz, we've taken already.
We talked about
We've already talked about
Linda, Lincolnshire Linda.
Linda,
Ooh.
good evening. Hello. Linda.
Hello.
Hi. What can we do for you, Linda?
Oh, I was just trying to get on Talk TV to talk about the fact that, you know, from my son, he's 22 now.
Yeah.
I think he was about, 8 or 9 when he went to a mosque for the first time. No problem, you know. He was doing our lesson.
Yep.
And when he got to secondary school, they wanted them to go again. And Alfie said, I don't want to go because at the end of the day, you know, I've already been. And the one thing he couldn't understand was why male and female were separated. But he said, I don't want to go. I absolutely do not want to go. Nothing to do with any particular persuasion or anything. We live somewhere where there's
So what? Get to the point of this call, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I just think why the teacher virtually said it was mandatory for him to go or he would be thrown out of his class.
Well, if it was an RE class and they were going to send you to, you know, to get an idea of all religions, you just do what you're told. It doesn't matter. What is wrong with people? When you go to school, they tell you what to do, you do it, okay? End of.
It's rather like saying, I've been to a geography lesson, I've been one, I don't want to do another one. It's quite...
I understand that when you're young, but when you get to secondary school, if it's
you do what you're told. This is the, you know, this is the problem, Linda, with society today. People do not do what they are told when they're in positions. For instance, if you're at school or university and your lecture, mind you, I'm not very keen on lecturers at the moment. They all seem to go a bit dopey.
They're all the same.
Or a teacher, you do what you're told, okay?
My parents took me out of RE.
That's it.
You could have took him out of RE. I just used to sit there in RE, laughing at my mates doing nothing.
Just be quiet. You're talking.
No, but you could have opted out of it.
No. This wasn't my son being told what to do. This was the teacher's curriculum, wasn't it? From the government, set by the
never mind, do what you're told, because he might have learned out of it. You're not cleverer, are you, than the government?
When they got onto the phone
if you were cleverer than the government, you'd probably be the Prime Minister.
Child would not have to go.
You don't listen, do you?
He's not very clever.
You're not listening at all.
I am listening.
What did I just say?
Nothing, really, that made any absolute relevance.
Thank you.
Nevertheless,
let's talk to
what
Graham.
did he say? Paul.
Graham.
Hello.
Will you stop it? You're going a bit mental at the moment. Graham?
Yeah?
Are you too stupid to come on my show?
It's not a new caller. This isn't a new caller.
Make a comeback. It's okay.
Graham?
Yeah?
Don't call back again, okay?
This is Paul McCartney.
You're not up to scratch for the sort of person I want listening.
My Valentine girlfriend.
It's like Bob Dylan a bit, isn't it?
No, he's like an idiot. Paul from Manchester. Paul.
You're all muffled.
Yes, Paul, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I got my phone wrong way around, sorry.
You've got a flannel on your mouth.
No, he said he's got his phone the wrong way round.
Oh, right. Yeah.
What sort of listeners
They've
and
only
viewers
just got
have
that
we
in
got
Manchester.
at
This is
the moment?
quality stuff, James. I love it. No wonder you came back. It's got to be good.
I'm from Oldham.
Oh, he's from Oldham.
That doesn't give you an excuse to behave like that. Anyway, what can we do for you, Paul?
I was just, I was watching you were talking to Evan, guys.
Yeah. They're coming up to Oldham, aren't
When
they?
you know what you want to talk about, call me back. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for calling, Paul. When you know what you're talking about, call me back and we'll talk. Quick look at tomorrow, Saturday's front pages, because the Times is leading with Vance tells Europe to clean up its own mess. And he did a great job.
Oh, wasn't he great? J.D. Vance. It sounds like a cheap department store, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
But the reality is, he said, don't worry about Russia. The threat to freedom of speech is a far greater threat to the UK people. And it is. He's absolutely right. We've had so many people being locked up for these non-crime hate incidents. We've had, I always say that if I think, therefore I am, well, in the UK, I think, therefore I am arrested.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
In your own house. You can't pray in your own house now in
Crazy.
Scotland.
Absolutely crazy. So well done, J.D. Vance, and a great speech.
The Weekend said, wish you weren't here. UK spending millions telling Albanians not to come to Britain.
Yes.
You've been told, don't come to Britain.
Yeah.
They love Norman wisdom out there, don't they?
It's on the front page of the Eye.
They've got a statue
for the weekend.
I wonder if they get a copy of it, James. What do you think? But you're right.
Send it. Yeah.
We should do.
Look at that. There's one for you, James. Look at the top right.
2,500 designer pooch,
Turns out he was a fake. Just buy a second-hand one like James Wales does.
Will you stop calling me Wales, or let me just say this.
What?
I am going to friggin' sack you.
What do you mean?
I am not going to have you on when I'm on. 25 years, and I've got a...
But you know the guy that started Wikipedia, he's got nearly the same name, James Whale, the guy.
You know.
Of
anyway,
Wikipedia.
never mind. Shut up.
Very similar.
You're voting for me, the Daily Star. I never understand the Daily Star.
That's taking the mick out of Robert De Niro.
Yes. Oh, is it?
Taxi for Man, baby.
Yeah.
You voting for me? He's going to stand in
They
America.
say he's going to be better than Trump, and he opposed Trump. He didn't like Trump.
Robert De Niro is going to stand as a politician.
Well, he's not. But
he's deranged, isn't he?
Well, no, he's wonderful. And
but don't you remember his speech outside when he went, Trump's never going to leave office?
It is so many people in Hollywood have gone against Trump, and it's all backfired. If you saw the Super Bowl at the weekend, good old she was there singing and so on and so forth, and they booed her. They booed her on that.
Really?
Sort of basis. Yes. So they gave a great big cheer and Trump was the first sitting president ever to sit in the Super Bowl. But there was this other glorious creature, and she got booed.
And that's what's happened. They're all backing down now. Ever since the tech wizards, have all backed up Trump, they've all sort of backed down, and the corporates are now with Trump. So that's looking like where it's all heading.
I mean, there's a lot going on about Vance, and if people didn't even know who he was, they will now.
Yes.
The Independent Starmer on collision course with Trump over NATO and VAT. Do you know, we have David Lammy and Keir Starmer.
Yes.
How is this country ever going to survive with those two there?
It's extraordinary. You're so right, James. And you talk about NATO, and this is what the whole thing about Ukraine and what Trump was saying is that you're never going to be a member of NATO to Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's what says Zelensky. Starmer comes out and says, well, you've got an irreversible path to NATO. The reality is, if the US don't support NATO, it's irrelevant for these small countries anyway.
Exactly.
And we pay 5% of our GDP during the Cold War.
Let us squeeze Nina in, all right? Nina.
Hey, Nina.
Bristol's.
Hello.
Nina, you're on the air. What can we do for you?
Hiya. I just wanted to talk about slavery.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm from Bristol, as you can probably tell from my accent.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, indeed.
I think I said you were from Bristol.
Well, it was built on slavery,
that's
wasn't
just
it,
wasted
Bristol?
about 2 minutes,
Bristol.
but let's get on. Shush. Let's just get to the point. What do you want to say about slavery?
Spit the beans. Spill the
Okay,
beans.
Shut
Edward
up. Now,
Coulson.
Spit it out.
be quiet.
What do you mean? I can't. The silence alarm's going.
Edward Coulson, yes.
Edward Coulson. Obviously,
He ended up in the...
in the water.
He got dragged away and chucked into the harbour side.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, meh, whatever. But my point being that so many roads in Bristol are
What?
Well, when you know what you want to talk about, maybe call me back, because at the moment you don't. Bex is in Essex. Hello, Bex, you're on the air.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm all right, Bex, but getting a bit annoyed about people bringing in and then forgetting what they want to talk about.
Yeah, I know. So, do you know what? I'm one of them, but I've just remembered. So you're lucky.
Good.
So I was frustrated with the lady Grace, the girl that you had on, and she was saying that they don't have
Girl, not lady. I mean, she's only 22.
Oh, okay. Ethnic minorities, but opportunities are about what you create. I mean, I left school at 13, no GCSEs, and from quite a poor background. I built my own successful business over years of hard work.
Yeah,
I've done that myself. No one handed anything to me or helped me along the way. And I just feel like when you're stuck in a victim mentality where you're blaming something outside of your control, you're never going to get anywhere in life, no matter what skin
Are
colour
you from an
are,
ethnic minority, or are you white? What are you?
No, I am white, but I don't feel that my skin colour has contributed to where I got to, my hard work got me here.
Yeah, you didn't get a job, you did it all yourself.
Yeah, and when you're stuck in the victim mentality, you will never get anywhere in life. It just won't work for you. And I feel like ethnic minority background people tend to have this sort of victim mentality. It's easier to...
Well, they're encouraged to do it, aren't they, by the sort of the lefty woke mob? It sort of encourages them. Whereas actually you should turn, if you feel like a victim, you should turn it into an advantage and go, right, I'm going to prove the system's wrong, like our friend who got Parkinson's and set up a massive business. And he said that's what spurred him on, so you use it in a positive way.
And I have a lot of friends who've come from varying backgrounds or over the years, you know, their stories have been from varying backgrounds and have been successful because of what they have done, not the colour of their skin, not anything else.
Absolutely.
And they've done well because of what they've come from.
And well, it's a big thing at the moment. So Elon Musk, he has Asperger's, and he was bullied at school and so on and so forth. Lots of people have had challenges, have suddenly turned those challenges into something superb. Yeah. So absolutely great.
Well, Charlie Mullins, Theo Paphitis, they both came from very poor backgrounds, and because of that, it spurred them on, and they become millionaires.
You make a really good point,
Thanks,
Beck.
man.
Thank you very much indeed. Not you, no, Beck. She made a good point. Yes. Front page of the Mail tomorrow. Nearly today, tomorrow.
Yes.
Free speech is in retreat in the UK, warns Trump's
Hold it up,
vice
show
president.
the dog the rabbit.
Well,
that's what I always do, don't I?
Do you? Oh,
there,
right.
see for yourself.
Yes.
You don't believe us? Okay, that's enough.
Good. Okay. And it's on a lot of the you
can't read this. You need your glasses, don't you?
No, I'm fine, but that one's small. But do those in a minute. Let's take another call. Shall we take another call?
Yeah.
Or
Let's do
they want us to take a break in a minute. But
one of my mates has injured his nose with one of those.
Oh, hang on. Could you be quiet?
Bottle.
I'm talking to the...
Someone scratched your nose with a bottle cap.
Will you be quiet now? Right, OK. How would you like to win some money? It seems all stations, TV and radio, are giving money away at the moment. And so we thought we should give you the chance to have some money as well. Listen and watch this.
Yeah.
It's competition time, and we're giving you a chance to win a whopping £25,000. So what do you need to do to get involved? All you have to do is text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post. It's as simple as that. Once again, to get involved, just text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post.
18 plus, UK excluding NI. Enter by SMS for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on March the 3rd, 2025. Or send your name, email and contact number to £25,000 cash competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on March the 6th, 2025. This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Oh, we're back.
We're back, look.
Why didn't anybody tell me we're back?
They did about 2 seconds ago.
Did they? Oh, right, OK. Right, welcome back. Hope you win that, and then maybe we could all go out and have dinner.
Lovely.
Yeah, very good.
25 grand.
Yeah. Let's talk to Alison in, where is it? Sussex.
Sussex.
Alison.
Hello.
How's the weather?
Oh, it's cold.
Can't afford to put the heating on, can you?
It's absolutely baking in here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's me or my condition, but yeah.
It is warm in here.
It's the crap air conditioning.
Yeah.
I think it's the dapper clothing you've got on, James.
Oh, it is dapper.
Oh dear, oh dear. I wish I'd mentioned that now.
No,
I
seriously, you look fantastic.
He does look great.
Stop
doesn't he?
humouring him, Alison. Come on.
No, so do you, Ash. You look absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
no.
Now you've ruined it.
Yeah.
It's got to be good.
Anyway, go on.
The reason I'm phoning is because I'm really, from a woman's point of view, I'm really getting scared about these independent people that you had on earlier. I was married to a Muslim man for 15 years, and I'm English. And the way that the main man talked was really reminiscent of...
But, you know, we live in a free country, and we live in a country that is still democratic. And we, you know, this is a point I often make. I don't care who you vote for. If the majority of people want to go down one and I don't like it, then I'll just have to shut up and put up with it.
That's democracy.
That's democracy for you, or move somewhere else. But
you have to
people
vote.
tend not to vote.
Yes.
And so people with a minority idea will get in. Like we have a government now who actually do not have the majority
nonsense
with them, but got in with a huge amount of...
That's why we need the Australian system. Everyone has to vote by law. Yeah. That would solve that sectarian... Thanks, me.
That's what I'm
That's the
saying,
answer.
Ash. Come on, Ash, come on.
All right, Alison.
Yeah.
No, let's
Ash
not go.
from PM.
He's only saying what we've all said already.
I know. It's just getting scary in this country, sort of thinking that you're everything's going down the pan.
Compulsory voting.
Listen, at the next election, do you know, sometimes I say erection when I mean election.
Is that right?
And sometimes you say election when it means erection.
So anyway, listen, Alison, so vote in the next one.
Yes.
Oh, I did vote in the last one, and I'm definitely voting in the next one.
Good. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to go and leave you guys now. So we're going to take a little break. Andrew, you look after him.
Give us a ring, though. Give us a ring, 03444991000.
You've got some calls there, so
we'll want some
some
more. You know, now that he's gone, you won't get shouted out as much.
Well, you might do.
You might do, actually, yeah.
I may ring in.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, ring us in.
I might ring in.
Yeah, man, do it.
Say,
ring us in about half hour.
I'm not happy about
Tell
that.
us how the show's going.
Yeah. But I'm sorry about this, but
it's not good enough, really.
I am trying.
No, you've done very well, man. You look great.
It's great to see.
I think
you really
you've
great
got
to
more
see.
energy than last week.
And absolutely, I should just say again, listen to Tales of the Wales because it is superb. It is enlightening, it's uplifting and inspiring.
And it's only 10 minutes.
If you have cancer.
Yeah, but even if you don't, actually, because you know somebody who does.
Yeah. Everyone does.
And it's really, really powerful. Tales of the Wales.
And it's only around about 10 minutes, so we do it every
And it's for
week.
people who are helping people who've got cancer as well. It's not. It's got everything in it.
We'll take a break.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
He's still here, he's just leaving the room now in his Rupert Bear jacket. But anyway, it's me and Andrew Eborn, futurist barrister, and we're going to just go through the papers a bit. Give us a ring, 03444991000, because we want to talk to you. Daily Telegraph, Miliband sticks to fracking ban days after giant gas field. We found a massive gas field, I think Lincolnshire. But apparently, you know, they banned the one in Blackpool because they said there'd be some earthquakes. Apparently, it's about 2 on the Richter scale. It's like a lorry driving past. It's nothing.
And it's rubbish. And what I contrast what's happening in the UK contrasts so dramatically with Trump and his inauguration. Drill, baby, drill. You know.
Yeah, and we're looking at them like salivating, and then JD Vance comes out, and we want this. And do you think the pressure is piling onto the other European nations, or do you think they're going to double down? Because there was rumours that Starmer was looking at Trump and seeing how popular he is and might go more towards, but he's more an EU man.
Oh, no, they do, absolutely. The narrative is changing on things like immigration as a result of there are key issues which are the reason that Trump stomped home. And you got to look at those on a worldwide basis. His approval rating is probably the highest in the world amongst political leaders at the moment. Starmer's is one of the lowest. So of course he's got to turn around and do these sort of things. Listen to the people. That's a big clue in politics.
And Starmer then, to show he is doing something, hired a big jumbo jet for 200 people and put 47 Albanians on, who are going to probably come back immediately. And interestingly, Germany did the same. They got a big jumbo jet and put 7 people on and go, look, this is now we're sorting the problem. 7 people. They've had like 10 million in the last 3 years.
The great thing is they read the eye today telling them not to come to Britain because it's no good. So interesting on that sort of stuff. But no, you're absolutely right. That's what we have to do. Ramp up the narrative, get a bit of politicians with charisma.
And shackle them like the Americans, you know, no messing about, and people on the plane saying, do you remember that? A load of passengers on the plane were being all woke and said, no, send these, we refuse to fly if these, and they had to take them off, and this guy went on and raped and murdered other people.
That's awful.
So these do-gooders, tariffs for UK will be worse than for China. Now, you do a lot of intellectual property rights and stuff like that. So what's going on with these tariffs?
Well, tariffs, you might remember that in his inauguration speech, he did a brilliant one, 16 minutes, which was wonderfully crafted with wonderful sound bites. He then did more rambling ones afterwards. But one of the words he says that he loves is the word tariff. And what Trump is doing is using it as a negotiating tool. So you'll see these things around the world, and then Canada caved a little bit, so they managed to get something done there. But he was saying he's going to slap on, for example, 25% on steel, and the knock-on effect that's going to have is massive. So we've got to look at this sort of side. But he's scared of China, and I think this is the interesting
Well, China
thing.
are up for the fight. Canada back down because 25% of their GDP is from export to America, and same with Mexico, whereas America don't really sell anything around the world. It's all mainly internal market. Like their sports, it's all just, we don't buy anything American apart from Zippo lighters a few years ago and iPhones, but they're all made in China. But China now are sort of, they have got power, and there's a sort of a fight brewing up.
There's a huge power. And actually, my good mate Elon Musk is most of his.
You know his dad, don't you?
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, man. On his podcast.
Every day.
Every day he speaks to Elon's dad.
I do. It's great. It's lovely because we are.
How'd you hear it? What is it? Andrew Eborn.
Andrew Eborn. You can find it more platforms.
Not now, but
don't find it now. Never. I'm here now, and I love coming to see.
But
James.
he's like Elon in a few years, isn't he?
He absolutely is. The look of Errol is exactly it. But the point is that most of Tesla's cars, all the ingredients, but basically the bits and pieces for Tesla cars, are made in China. So there's a whole thing there about that sort of side.
And iPhones.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why they had to put suicide nets on the factories, because the workers worked so hard, they're actually jumping off.
Yeah, it's tragic.
So those people that go on about slaves, they all had their phones, which are made basically by people who are subjugated. Right, the Soaraway Sun. Married Strictly Star Falls for Princess. What's this all about? Is it Meghan? Is it what? Let's see.
Well,
this is the Strictly Curse. The Strictly Curse is
the Strictly Curse,
Strictly
as
star
they call it.
Dawood Gadami has left his wife after falling for the stunning Princess Jasmine. He starred alongside in a panto of Aladdin.
No, he didn't. Where's your career? Behind you.
The dad of two, 42, Kush Kazemi and EastEnders shared sizzling on-stage chemistry. We see dancing. They're going about, it's foreplay to sex, isn't it?
Well, there's so much stuff. You spend so much time rehearsing rehearsing. Strictly, I mean,
your body's you're rubbing up against a very athletic professional dancer all day.
Yes.
What's going to happen? 2 and 2, and that's what happens. I mean, we saw it.
The reality
Natasha
is this.
Kaplinski.
The reality is this. All of these reality shows are dependent on getting the headlines. So you've got to drip feed the scandals, or drip feed the romances, or drip feed the breaking stories.
But would you let your partner go into, Strictly? So basically, they're having an affair. Well, a physical affair. Every day they're rubbing their, in a live, very strong man or woman.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, but this is what they say, but they say it's not sexual. But then why do they say, well, we're going to have two, the gay men can have two blokes? So there is a sexual element.
Well, I went down to the big O2 down at Greenwich where they had the big Strictly Live.
The Millennium Dome.
Yeah, the Millennium Dome.
Yeah, keep it the Millennium Dome.
I know, it's all good. Did you ever go?
I did. It was rubbish, wasn't it?
No, there was a great thing which they used to do. They used to have the different things. You had like a body zone, and there was a money zone.
You could walk through a heart.
Well, one of the things on the money zone, which I used to love, is that they had all these £50 notes all put in a glass perspex. And being a magician, what I did is sort of tapped on it and I pulled one out. And then you see, and in the queue, they went now.
Oh, you were working there, were you?
No, I was just wandering around as a punter.
I'll tell you what, it was bullshit, because I looked at they had a sort of environmental part, and they go, a washing machine uses the amount of water in a 25-metre swimming pool in one cycle. I thought, that's absolutely... That's not true. But it was telling us
having been a bit of a flop as the Millennium Dome, it is now one of the, if not the most successful entertainment venue, it's certainly in Europe. And you look at the diverse things on that sort of basis.
And they said it was going to fail. In fact, me and Wales did a 24-hour show from there on the night.
You?
Yeah, well, he did. I came in the morning to do. I didn't do it. He didn't manage the whole 24, a bit like tonight, but he did do about 20.
But it's brilliant. But I love it as a venue. I went to go and see the Bridget Jones thing, which is the other thing which is dominating the headlines. So I watched that down at the O2.
It's the most successful venue in the country.
It is. It's phenomenal.
I mean, Michael Jackson was going to do 50 dates. I think Prince did about 40 dates. They do it one after the other. Yeah, because there's that much. So the FT weekend, Vance lays blame for Europe's plight on the threat from within, and he's right, isn't he? I mean, I'm sort of discussing why is it that the Great Reset? Are they doing a population change? Are they trying to destroy? Are these Marxists basically trying to destroy our countries? And because this is what Marxists believe. They believe in breaking the system, bringing it down, and this is sort of what's happening.
It's what I was saying earlier, is that in America they've listened to the people and the popularity ratings as a result. Trump, in his first 100 days, signed 300 executive orders, and some quite extraordinary pictures you saw of him, surrounded by all those girls and women, when he said only women can take part in women's sports, all of those sort of things. He knows how to control the narrative. You compare that over here, where Starmer's got this charisma bypass, and you look at that sort of stuff, Starmageddon is not good. You can get people back if you listen to what the people say.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's got it, hasn't he? He's got them. He's convincing everyone, and this is what we want in this country. But it's not going to happen, is it?
Well, I think this is why people need strong leaders, and we've got Nigel's a character, Boris was a character.
Yeah, but they won't have the power if they get in, because our democracy. Listen to Dominic Cummings. It's all a farce. It's all a charade. The civil service are now running things. Look what Priti Patel tried to stop it. They can't stop it now. We don't really live in a democracy because the governments don't actually make it.
Well, you look at the democracy when you look at the ratings of things like Reform last time, and what was it? And the Liberal Democrats, as I predicted, got 12% of the votes. They ended up with 72 seats. Yeah. Reform got whatever it is, 14% of the votes, and ended up with 5.
That's why we've got to have compulsory voting, because we've got it already, sectarian voting, people winning, for Gaza, 5 seats. But if everyone went out to vote, it would be more representative, and we wouldn't get these crazy...
The biggest winner in most elections, when you don't have an obligation to vote, is apathy. You sit at home, you either think that your party's going to win, so why bother? It's a bit rainy.
Well, there's a uniparty as well, You don't feel you really get a lot, as Dominic, you're not really getting anything.
Well, as George Galloway always used to say, it's two cheeks of the same backside.
The same backside.
It was a good excuse to get you to do the impersonation.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The Daily Mirror. Yes. My Caroline is still saving lives 5 years after. This is Caroline Flack. Very sad, because people are what happened to her was terrible, wasn't it? And sort of people jumped on board, and all these people who say be kind all jumped on, and she ended up committing suicide. A mum has told our daughter has left a life-saving legacy. So that's good news.
But it is. I think more people who talk about these sort of the black dog and so on and so forth, the demons that people get. Everybody gets depressed, and we want to be the generation that talks about mental health, so that the next generation doesn't suffer the stigma.
But there is depression, and not everyone gets. There's a proper big depression as well, which is a proper
you have
medical.
it like autism. There's certain things on the spectrum. People get issues. You talk about exercises and so on and so forth. How people can cope, because the world is rotten. How people cope with it is really, really powerful.
Getting out there and walking around is good.
I on my show, available on more platforms than Paddington, the biggest and the best of the world. So I've had Charles Spencer on. We talk about mental health issues and so on and so forth.
What, Princess Diana's
exactly.
brother.
So we talk
he
about,
has them all on, doesn't he?
And I do. Right Said Fred are very good on mental health as well.
Not so good, yeah. But they're not a group anymore. They're a think tank, right?
No, but this is what the point is. If you prick me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? Everybody has issues.
What happens if you prick Right Said Fred?
Only on a Thursday night.
Only on a Thursday.
Always a reality. No, the joy of this is that the more people in the public eye speak about mental health, and this is the story here about my Caroline still saving lives 5 years after she died. The whole point about this is making people aware of it. We need to avoid every death lost to suicide is a tragedy, and what happens, you're working on the people, it's people left behind. The devastation is awful.
Well, join us, give us a ring, 0344, me and Andrew after the news with more papers and your calls.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
James has gone home. He's having a little breather. He's doing the first 2 hours and then he's gone home. Lazy, I think, but, he's a bit knackered because he had the flu and stuff and, he's not well. But he'll be back next week on Friday, so join us then from 10. But in the meantime, it's me and Andrew Eborn, futurist and barrister, and we're going through the papers, we're taking your calls. So the Daily Express, that's the next one. Wheelchair users, travel lottery must end, and this is, basically determined. Zach Eagling is back on the campaign trail, this time fighting to improve public transport for wheelchair users. So basically, he's
only 13, and this is what I
brilliant.
love. If people can get a headline to work out, and this is what we need to do when we're talking about Be Kind, and there's somebody called Sebi Hall, who's another regular on my show, who's brilliant. He's done an act of kindness every single day for the last 4 years, and he's got disadvantages himself. He's raised over £100,000 for people in a similar condition. It takes youngsters, 13-year-old, to highlight the fact that we need to think about stuff on the railways, and well done him. So people need to look at that sort of basis.
Because he says it's a lottery. I mean, I suppose it is. You know, some of the stations are very old, but all the new ones are built with it. But yeah, it's no good for you if you've got to get off in the station and get off at another one. And buses, and some people are very mean. I mean, I've got a mate who's blind, and he often won't let his which is illegal, his guide dog in cabs and shops. But you know,
they should look at that. The way to do it is the people who make the decisions, let them do that journey for a day or whatever. You know, sit them in a wheelchair or cover their eyes or whatever.
There was a celebrity program like that, celebrity wheelchair. You know, Gabby Rosalind and all that.
Yeah, and they do that sort of stuff. Yeah? And so people can experience it and walk a mile in my moccasins.
Yeah. So he's got very nice moccasins, though. Right. Well, can we let's take call Martin in Ayrshire.
Hello, Martin.
Hi, Marty. Good morning.
Hiya. How you doing, mate?
Well, all right,
I want to talk about the legal aid the illegal immigrants get. There should be a maximum threshold in how much money they're allowed to actually get.
Well, I mean, you know, I think it costs £40,000 in accommodation, which you'd have to earn about 65 grand. Plus they get other stuff. So you'd have to earn about 70 grand to get the equivalent of what someone who's just dropped on the beach.
It's completely crazy, the money that's being wasted.
That family actually got...
It's ridiculous.
It was about eight appeal. And actually go through the...
Yeah, you can just keep appealing. Human. We've got to get out of the European Court. What's your view on the ECHR?
I know we've got to get out of it. I mean, to the extent it's stopping us. And the trouble is you're working about, and it's great about human rights, and I totally get all that. You've got to work out, we've also got rights. And if you're spending money on people who are coming here illegally, it means that you haven't got enough to spend on things like the NHS or other services.
But it's your profession's fault, isn't it?
A fortune.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've made it a human right. It's not your particular, but it's lawyers, isn't it? It's human rights lawyers have basically willfully misinterpreted the law and said, well, no, this means this. My kid can't eat nuggets from Albania. I mean, ridiculous stuff like that. Yeah. And it's just, they're not even proper judges, these ECHR.
As you know, I'll get our call. So what's the name again?
Marty,
very good. No, you're absolutely right. But and I often defend lawyers because they're just mouthpieces. But you're right. If they abuse the system, then that should be called out. What do you think the solution is, Marty?
I think that there should be a threshold in how much money they're allowed to have. Each case they're allowed to have, and then once it is, how many appeals I've had, then we'll afterwards.
Because we're paying all these 8 cases, we pay for it all.
Yeah.
But Farage said, you know, after all these cases in the last few weeks, and this is happening regularly, that, you know, we've got activist judges now. I mean, this is why the country's as it is, and this is what we were saying earlier. The sovereignty of Parliament's gone. It's just all being decided by lawyers and judges, foreign judges in cafes in Belgium, who aren't even really qualified, apparently.
No, I mean, it's interesting. Do you think then, Marty... Can I check another thing with you? Do you think that Trump's got the right attitude and we should adopt that here?
It's Russ Abbott.
If the lawyers weren't making as much money then, and there was a threshold in how much money they could make then, they might not be as actually want to actually take the cases on as much then and actually go for it all the time.
Right.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Let's go to Julian in London on the Chagos Islands.
Hello, Julian.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, Ash.
All right, man. Should we give them back to... Because the Chagosians want them, but because they're forced to live in Crawley, so no wonder they want to go back. But they want to stay under British rule. What's your views on it?
I've looked at the true cost of it, and... the government's consider, and it's over 90 million a year. Don't sound a lot, but over 99 years, and the Mauritian government won interest added at 3%. So over the 99 years, I'd be the amount to £50 billion.
I mean, we don't need to do it either. Why are we doing it? And also, we don't need to... With these international courts, they're not binding. Should we be ignoring them?
I think that the crazy thing... We will talk about the comparison of the US and the UK. The UK is giving lots of stuff away. The US is acquiring everything from Greenland to Canada to Mars to Gaza all that sort of stuff. Trump is probably going to go down in history as the biggest land grab president ever.
And they've cut the costs with this Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. Yes. That's what we need here. But if we got the equivalent of Prime Minister here, he wouldn't have executive powers. I mean, yeah, if he had a big majority, he could do stuff, but I can't see it happening the same way here, can you?
No, I think you're right. What do you think the solution is?
I think it must stop, really. It's just 50 billion is a lot to It could go into other things as well, could it? Really, you know.
It's a great point.
The train drivers want a pay rise. I mean, they say they were left with a £22 billion hole, which was a lie, basically. I think Rachel from account. She's Rachel from the house.
That's scandal. She couldn't even count how many years she's worked at a particular place.
And she's buying handbags with, a company's money for presents.
More and more. Do you think she's going to survive, Rachel? Now, I mean,
I can't see, because he said he had full confidence in her, and that, if you,
that's always a red
that's
flag,
always a bad
isn't it?
sign, isn't it? It's when, like, at Villa, Doug Ellis, the chairman, would take the manager around.
Yes.
Full confidence. You knew he was going to be fired the next day. I mean, it'll take a bit longer because, obviously Starmer will look really bad if he has to get rid of his.
I think we need the Doge like America go. The new Doge thing. And
no, I'm totally with you. The Doge over here would be brilliant, and it should be. And actually, what's happening with the Doge is not just uncovering inefficiencies; it's uncovering corruption.
Billions and billions of dollars. I mean, people are going to end up in prison, aren't they, over this?
Well, I think the reality is sunlight is always the best disinfectant, and anybody...
Bingo, tick the bingo. Trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback.
But the reality is this, is that if they've got nothing to hide, then let people in and have a look at it.
He agrees.
Do a full account of it then and see what happened and where the money's gone.
That's brilliant.
Well, Elon Musk actually went to one department and says, "I want you to release all these, expenses," and the guy resigned, the head of that department.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Because he knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's carry on. Give us a ring, by the way, 0344 49. We haven't got any. We've got loads of calls, but they're not lined up. 0344 499 1000.
And as it's Valentine's Day, I'd also like to hear. There are a lot of people
it's
who are sitting
not anymore, is it?
Well, sort of, but I would like to hear the Valentine's Day fails.
What about you? You've got a missus, haven't you?
I have.
So you don't really need to bother with all that, do you?
Every day is Valentine's Day.
What did you do? Did you go around a walk?
We did. No, we did all the flowers. We did. We saw the movies.
And that was what she got you.
It's got to be good. Yes, pick your own from the park. No, the reality. Every day should be Valentine's Day. But I also want to hear about the Valentine's Day failures that people have had. People are sitting at home and they're sometimes a bit lonely and things like that.
It's better to do Valentine's Day on the 15th or the 3rd, because if you go in there, it's hard booking and you've got all these other couples. It's a bit annoying.
It's a bit of a rip-off.
And it's a bit sickening.
Suddenly the flowers that you get from the garage.
Oh my God!
Fortune.
Yeah, even the garage flowers. You should see the ones in the station. They're like 80 quid for a bunch.
It's crazy, isn't it? But it's a very sad tale, actually, of Valentine, because he was jailed. He used to marry. What they worked out is that soldiers, if they were married, they weren't as effective as soldiers, so they tried to ban marriages. And so Valentine, what he did, he used to marry them in secret. He was thrown in jail. And then he basically fell in love with a jailer's daughter. And before he was about to be executed, he wrote a little note saying, "From your Valentine." And that was the start of Valentine's
Day.
No,
they chopped his head off.
Terrible.
So, but isn't it a commercial venture that was invented in America, like all these things are? It's a money spinner.
It is certainly a money spinner, and I think it's Yeah.
Do you remember Mr. and Mrs. the show? You couldn't have that now, could you? Because there's so many options. Before you'd done the titles with 100 different genders, it would be the end of the show, wouldn't it?
I love Mr. and Mrs. because you work out how much they go. Well, you seem more likely to have a pork cutlet or a.
And you really could see who were the good couples and who weren't. It was quite a basic way of finding out if you'd married the right person. What to eat to sleep well? That's in the Times. Do you eat anything to sleep well?
Oh, I don't know. I think you shouldn't eat. I think that's
but apparently a good thing. We used to have a sleep expert on, and she said you eat porridge is all right and a banana.
Oh no, but yes, because it releases slowly. It's like pasta. But I wouldn't eat before you go to bed. It's probably not a good thing to do. I think most people say go to bed on an empty stomach, and you'll sleep better that way.
Right. So we've done all the paper. We've got these little portions of fun stories. Hugh is deleted by who? Yeah, disgraced newsreader Hugh Edwards has been edited out of an episode of Doctor Who. What was he doing in Doctor Who? The BBC took it off iPlayer last year after he admitted having indecent images of children. In the original version, Edwards' voice can be heard in a televised BBC News report.
Right.
Oh, so, yeah.
I heard he's got a book deal coming.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard. It may or may not be true. Well, we'll find out.
Sure. That'll be well, probably. I don't know. Wouldn't want to read the. I mean, what's he going to? Who's going to want to read?
Talk about his life in journalism. I mean, he was
now he didn't get into Cambridge, and that made him
the BBC's highest paid newsreader at that time, wasn't he?
Yep. He just needs to checkmate out. Chess could be the new darts.
Oh, it's brilliant chess.
You're a chess man?
I love chess. My grandfather, William Wheeler, was an expert at chess.
Willie Wheeler?
Yes, that was his name.
Chess lovers want to make their hobby the next massive spectator sport like darts. They say the game has gone huge thanks to sordid cheating scandal in the hit Netflix show The Queen's Game. Could we have like a bullseye show with like a sort of Jim Bowen character?
Well, you remember the cheating scandal because they apparently had a little buzzy thing
up his anus. No, apparently he did, and the computer would go brrr, and he'd go, king to knight to rook, and he'd win.
He would win.
That's what the guy on Millionaire should have done.
I think that's much better than coughing.
What's his name? Colonel Plum in the lavatory.
Exactly. So even if you got it wrong, you still have a fun time.
Yeah, exactly. No one's a loser. A bit like Jim Bowen again. You know, everyone have had a great day. You had a really great day with that buzzer. 74,000 had long cancer waits. More than 74,000 cancer patients in England did not start treatment on time last year. 62.2% of patients began within 62 days. I mean, that's just too long. With the cancer kind of spread.
When we start talking about the money that's being wasted, we talked about the illegal immigrants and so on and so forth. You're talking about the money that's being poured into war.
Yeah.
You can turn us. Let's address issues. So all the sort of benefits, if you like, a premium. Working on that sort of basis, divert that money to something good, like cutting down NHS queues, stuff that we need money for.
Exactly, yeah. Man fined £500 for fly tipping after envelope blew out of the bin. Well, quite
really?
right. I just strung him up, yeah. Now, a man who gave up his job to care for his young children when his wife died has been fined £500 after threatened with criminal record after envelope blew out of his bin. Bin men have got too much power now. I mean, if you leave it a bit
there
open,
are bin
they can
women
leave.
as well.
And they make a thing about not, and they don't put you, but they used to come to the next to your house and carry it on their shoulder and put it back. Now, if you don't leave it out the front for them, they won't take it, and then they just throw it back, and it's just on the pavement.
And we used to celebrate bin. My old man's a dustman.
Now we don't, do we?
No,
and they've got
don't.
blue bins, brown bins, grey bins, and they're all out, and you're walking into them. And we have 2 weekly. Other countries have it every day, you know.
Yeah, and you can't call them dustmen. They're refuse collectors now, aren't they?
Dust people.
Yeah, dust people.
And have you noticed how, you know, they
people?
go, there's not enough representative of women in this job. They never say it about dustmen or bricklayers,
They don't, do they?
Let's get more women into dust women.
Get more women into dustbins.
Dust women.
That's a different show.
Yeah, that's another show, yeah. Kama Suture.
Oh, very funny. Yes.
Hospital Sex Guide for patients after... I thought it said surge. After surgery.
Yes.
A Hospital Sex Guide tells patients how to enjoy a knee trembler after joint surgery. Yeah, you got to watch the knees.
Well, joint surgery, they both go in together.
It's the knees that go, isn't it? It features 8 lower impact positions, including spooning, using a tabletop, and seated with pillows. There was a famous glass table thing called Frank Boff. But straddling a part... I used to work with Frank Boff.
Oh, did you? What did you do for him?
Technical operation, you know.
Okay.
He was a very kind man. He used to get me, do you want a croissant? I'm just going over the shop. You want a croissant? And it was in the days when you could smoke, and everyone was chain smoking in the studio.
Right.
He was smoking, and it was full. It was beautiful, but you would go through a lot of fags. It features, spooning, pillow. But straddling a partner or stand-up sex is not advised. The intimacy advice is for patients who have had hip or knee replacements with NHS or private... Whale had a hip replacement, actually, didn't he? Catherine Farr, director of... He said, it's one of the most frequently asked questions. Of course, we're very happy to answer anything, but we felt like there were likely many other people who were embarrassed, so they just told them how to basically get it on if you've had a certain... Well, obviously, don't use the bit that you're knackered.
Well, so all these 80-year-old...
Just lie on your back.
These 80-year-old lovely ladies get told how... This is what's happening. This is a new policy.
You can be a llama and all... You
can be a llama?
They're going to have to explain llama different... because some people will declare...
How does the llama work?
I don't know how that works, but now we've got the head of, the health secretary believes you can be a llama.
You can be
and
a llama.
Woman can have a penis.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, or if you're Angela Rayner, a growler. No, that's the other thing, isn't it? That's what she said. That's her words. That's our Deputy PM's words, not mine.
It's after midnight now. This is a quality show. It's all good stuff. Go for it.
Labour chat group's OAP terrorist slur. A Labour minister ran a WhatsApp group which branded pensioners terrorists, we can reveal. Well, some of them could be. Education Minister Stephen Morgan was in charge of the chat, which was filled with slurs against elderly pensioners and veterans who marched to oppose mass immigration. These WhatsApp things are actually given away late because... Being a lefty is not really a natural human way. They're virtue signalling. They could be quite nasty people, but they think covering it up by doing... And these WhatsApp things are coming out now, and, they're saying... What were they saying? There was some anti-Semitic stuff on the thing. And it's all coming out now.
And what's happening is this.
We're finding them out.
WhatsApp groups, there's a bit of banter which are never designed to be in public. The whole idea is it's supposed to be end-to-end encryption. The fact that you can now have a look at things, take jokes out of context, which in the cold light of day look appalling, and some of them are, is really, really dangerous.
And there's a big story, actually, it was last week, that the government are thinking of asking Apple to give them... Yes. And Apple will not do that because it would include the whole world. And they're saying, Apple was saying, we will pull out of Britain. We will pull our iCloud out. You won't be able to use your phone.
No, it's so scary. People are not allowed to think. People are not allowed to joke.
Well,
it's
Big
really
Brother.
Dangerous
It is Big Brother.
It's worse than that. And they have Rodin's the thinker, and right next to them have Rodin's thought police.
Yeah.
You work on
it's
that sort of
worse
basis.
than cameras just watching you because they're looking at your emails, your data. They're not just watching you. That would be bad enough.
Yeah. No, and it is worse than that because everything's taken out of context. And people, I can guarantee that everybody's got stuff where they've had a little banter with a mate. It's taken out of context, and all of a sudden it's happening. And it's same with these celebrities who maybe in the 70s and 80s were making jokes in a studio and so on and so forth.
Like they were, yeah.
Like they were, but it was a different time.
Exactly.
And you'd never do that material now. And in a way, we need to work out that comedy, sometimes you have to have, the secret of comedy is the right to take offence. You've got to do that, and that's work on that sort of basis. Work out where the line is and go above it.
I mean, what about what happened with Gino? I mean, I don't know the stories, but they say he was naked and this, but they used to encourage him to come naked on the show. So when he was off...
that was his stick, wasn't it?
That was it. Well, I don't know about if it was a stick or what it was like. But, you know, they used to encourage him. But then when he was offered, they go, oh, my God, I can't believe you're naked with a sock on it. I mean, that was Greg Wallace's selling point.
It was all about innuendo. I thank you. Whenever there's a bit...
Innuendo.
I thank you. But that's what it was. And he was encouraged as that sort of character. That was his stuff.
That was it. They played on the Italian stereotype.
Absolutely. I mean, but we do need to, if there's serious abuse and so on and so forth, then let that come out. But all of the things where he's being this sort of the double entendre, whenever there's a double entendre, I just want to whip it out. All that sort of stuff you've got to have a look at.
Right, before we go to the break, we've got to get Ken on.
Oh, hello, Ken.
Hallelujah, Ken. Ken in London. What do you want to say on this early morning?
Good morning, gentlemen, Andrew and Ash.
Lovely to see you, Ken.
Vance, if I've got time.
Of course you have,
Before I say that, before I talk about Vance, I'd like to mention your discussion about mental health.
Yes.
From the Christian viewpoint, much of what is called depressive mental health today is caused by demonic activity in a person's mind and life. You see, what we watch...
And what's your prescription then?
What we watch, what we read, what we listen to affects our inner man, our soul.
Yes. Well, you're right.
And
you're not wrong,
much of it comes from demonic origins. For example, on the internet, they're promoting viciously pornography, filth, every day.
Yeah.
And millions are...
I know, they don't take a day off.
Rubbish in, rubbish out. Ken, I'm pleased you called. Can I ask you a question, Ken? Because it's great to hear you every single time I come on here, and I know you're regular. We saw you at the Tommy Robinson March and all that sort of stuff. Question for you is about prayer and how prayer works, because you get some really good people. The Pope is not very well at the moment, obviously a very holy man and stuff like that. How does prayer work? God's not up there saying, well, you've been good and therefore I'll look after your prayer, but you've been a naughty boy or a naughty girl, so I won't. How does prayer work?
Well, what you said is not true, Andrew. The Bible says, Jesus himself said, no man cometh unto the Father but by me. If you are praying to God, the only way to get to God the Father, the God of Israel, is to believe in his Son Jesus. When we pray and we disregard Jesus, God doesn't hear our prayer. He hears it, but he disregards it. We have to go God's way. God says, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, as Jesus, shall be saved. If we don't call upon the name of Jesus by faith and ask forgiveness, we won't be saved from hell. It's clear in the Bible.
So, but if somebody's not well, and lots of people do this, they suddenly say they've got a sick relative or anything, they say, look, pray for them. Yeah. If somebody's really good, it doesn't sound as though those prayers necessarily get answered.
Yeah, Andrew, nobody's really good. We're all sinners, my friend.
So what's the point of praying? What's the point of praying then?
You pray, God, forgive me of my sins. I believe in Jesus. He died for me and rose from the dead. Please forgive me. And then when you get right with God, you've entered into a relationship with God through Christ, his Son.
But why do you sin, Ken? If you're so sure about it, why would you ever sin?
Say that again?
Why would you ever sin, Ken, if you believe in it and you know God's watching you?
Well, we've all got a sin nature.
No, well, yeah, but why should you have it? If you believe fully that God's watching you, why would you ever sin?
Well, I've got a sin nature now. The sin nature will be with us till we get to heaven.
You just
then,
can't
then
stop
we become
yourself.
holy. The only one who's holy really is God. Sinners are saved by the grace of God through the blood of Jesus. For example, the Bible says that the entrance to heaven is absolute perfection, and there's no human being can live without sin except Jesus.
Okay.
And for you and I to get to heaven, we must be under the blood of Jesus, repentant and having faith in him. And God looks on the blood that covers us, and he forgives us of our sins.
Well,
this is the grace of God.
What about...
Yeah, go on, I was going to say, so prayer only works in the next world. Is that what you're saying?
No, prayer works in this world. Man, I've had wonderful
Give me an example. What do you pray for, Ken?
To get on the show every day.
God's grace I pray every day and ask God to give me grace to be faithful to Jesus every day. But listen, at one time I remember I was passing blood through my penis a long time ago, 10 years ago, when I lived in Scotland. And I went to the doctors about it. They sent me for check me out for
testicle,
cancer of the liver,
right, and kidneys, and
stomach. Cancer of the
if you have any blood from either of those areas, always go to your doctor. Yeah,
definitely.
And what I did was after that, I told the church. I go to a Pentecostal church. I told them my situation. I'd been passing blood.
What did they say you'd been doing?
Pray for me. So I was called out for prayer in the church. The pastor came and they laid hands on me in the name of Jesus. And about 2 days later, the blood flow stopped by the grace of God.
Because you'd stopped sinning.
And it was so bad I prepared for death.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die.
And what was wrong? Did you get a diagnosis or anything?
No.
Had you been sinning again too much? Is that what it was?
God healed me. And listen, when I had a heart attack, a brother came and prayed for me in the hospital.
Yes.
25 years ago, and God healed my heart.
Fantastic.
And I'm as strong as I'm.
Might have been the doctor.
Yeah, and always get doctor's advice, as Ash says. Yeah. But the other thing, though, Ken, there will be lots of people in your church who had similar, maybe other conditions, and they prayed, and they weren't cured. Why is that?
Yeah, you never see God curing someone who's had a leg amputated, and suddenly they've got a leg. Anyway, look, Ken, we've got to go. We've got a break. Call us again next week, and we'll finish that sermon.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. It's the James Wells Show starring Ash, but James has left the building because he just felt like it, and he's that big in the media, he can just walk out when he wants. But now we're going to talk about this, and Kazakhstan will surgically remove paedophiles' genitals under new draft law after complaints that chemical castration was not harsh enough, because apparently you can still be an offender. And we've got Fariza Balbajever.
Belgian Beaver.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
It's easy. Belgian Beaver. Belgian Beaver?
Belgian Beaver.
And she's from Kazakhstan.
On.
She's a journalist, commentator. And tell us about it. Has it come in yet, this law, and how does it work?
It's being proposed right now because what we had is chemical castration, which apparently wasn't working all that well because apparently doctors said that the effect of it was gone if the person drank enough alcohol.
Right, so
somehow
you can still get it, and you've still obviously got the equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
So is this law going to be passed, do you think?
Well, they're arguing that it obviously has some human rights violations, but people are just saying,
Do they belong to the UN human rights thing?
Universal Declaration of Human Rights, yeah.
So they won't be allowed to do it, will they?
Well, now they're arguing because obviously Article 5 of it kind of protects people from degrading treatment and torture and stuff, but once you touch kids and stuff, there is always very different. It comes to extreme situations. When you commit extreme evil, it kind of goes out the window, doesn't it?
Today, well, this country doesn't. We obey all those international courts. But
well, it's interesting as well because some countries, they say if you steal, well, we chop off your arm, and so on and so forth, and they work on that. So tell me, how does the law extend further? Because there'll be a lot of people watching talkTV who say, absolutely, this is what you've got to do. So there's going to be a lot of support for it, and people will be calling in later on that sort of basis. Tell me about the other side, though. If somebody steals, do they lose a hand?
In Kazakhstan, no.
What do you get? A long prison term, or what happens?
Well, it depends on what you do. Because if you steal something, you're probably going to get 2 weeks in jail.
2 weeks?
It depends what you steal. If you rob a bank, of course you're going to get a proper sentence.
I was going to say,
you don't get anything here. Is there a bit of wokery even slipping into Kazakhstan?
No. There is no such thing as wokery in Kazakhstan, not just yet.
But you only get 2 weeks for theft. That's pretty woke to me.
But it depends what you do. If you steal like a few bottles of wine from a store, you're not really going to get a jail sentence, are you?
Well, you would have here a few years ago.
Well, you had this £200 threshold, which they're revisiting and so on and so forth.
Yeah. All you can eat, basically.
How did this come about then? Because there's a lot of people say that they're not dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
And the thing about sentences, it works on 3 ways, doesn't it? One is the idea that you punish the crime. The other is it's preventative. And the other is supposed to be about rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that the same in your country?
Well, they're trying to actually prevent it. Because in recent years, well, actually in recent months, the crime rate for raping children has gone up by 438. Which is obviously, it's really bad. Because
what sort of percentage? You mean 438% it's gone up?
438 more cases. In recent years. Well, because chemical castration wasn't working before.
And before that, did they just lock them up for years? But now they
lock them up for chemical castration. Right. And obviously it didn't affect anything. And when it comes to children in Kazakhstan, we're very big on like protecting children and actually having a lot of kids is a big thing.
Right.
Well, the world should be. I mean, I think on that sort of base. But it is interesting because just the threat of it, it'd be interesting to see whether that sort of turns around, because now that they've announced there's a potential one, there will be statistics to see whether there's been any effect on the cases. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say, and also you've got cases where they're actually forcefully castrated, and one of them came out and said...
Well, you're not going to do it voluntarily, are you?
Well, one of them now, he came out and he said that I regret doing what I did to this kid.
Right.
So he wouldn't have
what
done
do you
it.
mean they were forcibly... I thought it's not in the law yet.
Well,
with these
it
vigilantes,
wasn't. But here, I mean, in this article here, it says that they've been forcefully castrated before. Probably not in a very legal way prior to this. But he came out and he said that I regret my decision, I regret what I did, and I would never do that again.
What are your personal views?
I say do it. I say, once you hurt kids, I no longer care about your human rights. I don't see you as a human. I see you as someone who's so evil. Because when you attack vulnerable groups like kids, this isn't really about, this is so much deeper than that. You actually go out of your way to prey on those children, to get them out of their safe space. To go, they get
It's horrendous. I mean, do you agree with this law?
I agree with this. I think it's the way to go.
Should we do it here?
Yeah.
I mean,
we should do it around the world.
Yeah. Well, they say, according to this, they just say it's the worst offending one. So not for everybody. So they're saying there's like a tariff. And what would that tariff be?
Well, it's going to be case by case situation. Right. So we won't know until now, because obviously it's still not passed yet. But once we know more, it'll be easier to tell. But it's basically a case by case situation with actual, I think, premeditated. That's gonna cause a lot of support for surgical castration.
I mean, there's no cure for it. I remember there was that Louis Theroux where he's in LA and they've got whole towns because you're basically locked up for life. Basically they make this whole town for you because you can't get rid of that sexual proclivity.
But following the logic then of this, there are other appalling crimes as well. Where else would you have?
Do you have the death penalty in Kazakhstan?
Would you bring it back for any crimes?
I think so. When you talk about like Axel Rudakabana, I think he deserves the death penalty because these are people who are not going to they're not going to redefine themselves in prison. What is prison, right? It's meant for people to really live with their crimes, what they've done, to try and change
and to keep them out of society. If you're a murderer, you just don't want them in society ever.
And clearly, with that particular case, there were lots of failings along the thing. He actually called out for help, which wasn't given to
and no
him.
one said anything.
And so people need to look at that. And I always say we need to look back and say where were the failings to make sure it doesn't happen again. But interesting. So you'd have death penalty for that. Anything else?
I think anything involving children and vulnerable groups that you actually go out of your way to premeditate and hunt them out, and that brings you joy. And when you have no remorse for your actions, I don't think you deserve to be, because it's taxpayers' money. You know, keeping them.
So it's cheaper to kill people.
You much better value. Saddam Hussein worked that out, didn't he?
But it's right, though, isn't it?
You get more prison places as well.
I mean, I think it really does depend. To be honest, with situations like this and the death penalty, it's really important that we actually know that the person is guilty of the crime that they've committed. And I know that...
That's the problem, isn't it?
Because in the United States, of course, that has been always an issue where death penalty in some states, people weren't necessarily proven fully guilty.
No, innocent people got executed.
And what about the castration then? Because that's obviously not reversible. It's like death and so on. If somebody's innocent, but...
Well, exactly. This is why it hasn't been passed yet, but it is under talks right now. So hopefully it will.
Do you reckon
happen.
it's going to? So what would the general feeling within the country is what?
I think that you've got to protect children, so everyone's going to be pro.
Right, let's get Brian. He wants to talk to you about this. Brian in Whitley Bay says it's already going on in some places.
Oh,
Can
Brian.
you hear that? Afghanistan.
Hello there.
Hi, Brian.
I could be wrong, but I was under the impression that the Taliban and everything out there, I thought they actually married 12-year-old girls. I know they do it in Bangladesh. So I've seen it on documentaries. Now.
They have an underage, much younger than here. Yeah, they do that, but that's not. They won't call that paedophilia, will they? That's their law there.
Yeah,
I mean, it obviously is, but it's disgusting. And people buy daughters off people. You know what I mean? Like 12 years old. It's unbelievable. What
so are you in favour of?
And we let them get on with it.
Yeah. Are you in favour of what they're proposing in Kazakhstan?
Yeah, I wish we would do it here as well.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Right, we're going to take a break, and it's just going to be all about thanks for Reza. When are you next on Talk?
9th of March in Future Politics panel.
9th of, good heavens, this year.
She's going to Heathrow now, back to Kazakhstan.
Is that
right?
right?
That new laws, yeah. Anyway, we're back with your calls for the last 20 minutes, right after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, Gemma said, one of my mates is injured. By the way, this is Talk James Wells show. He's just on his way home. He left a bit early, but he'll be back next Friday. I'm here with Andrew Eborn,
Good to see you.
Futurist, and we're taking your calls for next.
Yeah, I love those calls.
Show. One of my mates, says Gemma, has injured his nose with one of those scratch unattachable new annoying bottle caps. Yeah, these caps that you can't actually take off. Well, you can. You just snap them off if you want to be anti-EU. If you're a true Brexiter, rip the caps off your plastic bottles. It's annoying, isn't it? 'Cause the water goes everywhere.
Really dangerous. I went to an event a couple of days ago to celebrate Chinese New Year, it keeps on going forever and ever. And it's the people who have the sword, they have the golden swords and bottle of champagne, and they take the lids off.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's got to be dangerous, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we had a guy from, I think it was Georgia, you know, in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And he brought this amazing wine, $1,000 a bottle, and it was in this volcanic sort of clay thing, and you had to chop it off. He brought the sword.
But really dangerous. But they treat people. They must be losing fingers and other bits and pieces.
Yeah, and she's right. You scratch your eyeball, and it's all the EU's fault.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, lots of calls now. 03444991000. We'll whip through. Michelle in London.
Hi, Michelle.
Evening, Ash.
Morning.
Good evening, Andrew.
Nice to see you.
Always make me smile, you do. And I'm
brilliant.
Right.
I think she was talking about me.
I listened to the show before.
Yes.
About castration. It doesn't work. I mean, I'm talking from me, myself, and I. This is what I think.
You haven't been castrated.
I think they should be castrated without an anaesthetic.
But it would, but it would work, wouldn't it, Michelle, if you haven't got it? I mean, the chemical castration fails, but actual physical castration...
Yeah, but Ash, this has been going on since the 70s, and they still get the urges.
Yeah, but if you've actually had them chopped off, you're not going to be able to do anything with those urges. And if you've got no testicles as well, the urges...
Yeah, but about an anaesthetic...
So your point is you want to hurt them more, is that the idea?
No, well...
it is, isn't it?
You know, you've just... I mean, me, myself and I just can't get in a world when people find that, like... justified. I can't live in that world. But what I wanted to ask you about, what the hell were these two blokes doing your show? They were like Laura Nardi. It was...
Well, they were both like Laurel, weren't they? Because it wasn't...
Oh, my goodness. I was sitting there thinking, is it Laura Nardi, or am I just having... Like, I mean,
they also didn't get their chair levels. One thing me and James do with Andrew, we always make sure our chairs are at the right level.
They've got to be good.
One was much higher than the other. They look like the spitting image, David Steele and Owen.
They often do that. That's the first thing you do in a studio. You adjust your chair. Look the tall one. It's got to be good.
But it's a very frightening world.
Yes.
Because... if you've got daughters, I mean, I'm a disabled woman. I'm scared to go out in case someone looks at me and thinks, oh, she ain't worth it. I mean, kills me. But I've gone through cancer. I'm not lying when I'm disabled. It's really terrible.
Of course, I mean, Alex, who works on this show, she talks about, you know, on the streets. I know loads of girls, they won't go out at night. They'll never get the tube or the bus. Because they're under threat. It is and it's not an imagined threat. It is dangerous.
Awful that people are living under fear. What can we do to solve it?
Get rid of the far right is what the government say, isn't it?
Oh, everyone's far right because they have got nothing else to say about, and I think they are just, well, we know what they are, but I think they've got no soul, really, because why are you bringing up the British people destroying our culture? For what? I mean, that young girl you had...
Diversity is our strength.
Yeah, but it's not.
No, of course, it's a weakness. Yeah.
I mean, like, Andrew, you've been around the world, and I mean, and I love your laugh. I think, like, I mean, you do have brilliant guests. But these lefty lawyers, there's got to be a stop. No, I mean, when I was... listen to this, right, I'll tell you quickly.
Yeah.
I went through, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was diagnosed by a vet by going under a doctor treating me for depression. I had a lot of problems, but, do you know...
Did you say you were diagnosed by a vet?
Yeah.
You're not a llama, are you? You're not going...
No, I don't even go there because I looked at...
We need to know more about that. Because vets are basically better than doctors because they can do animals and humans. So what was it? Was it because he was a better...
Yeah, I had a blood test and he said to my old man, get her to the hospital now. She's got it's very bad, and I had stage 4. But I clawed my way back.
Right. Well, literally, it was a vet.
No, I don't even go there. I loved him, but he...
Well, he saved your life, didn't he, in a way? And you had stage 4 and you got cured from it.
Saved my life. But all this cruelty to animals...
Yeah.
And Andrew, you're very wise men. Now, I think that... And I heard Ken, I don't really listen to him when he goes on. I think, oh, bless him. But tonight he did make a few good points.
Did he?
And I'm not even religious.
Yes.
But... You know, the devil makes work for idle hands.
Yeah.
That's all this means. And why are we treating victims like criminals and criminals like victims?
Because we live in
a good point.
a looking glass world, don't we?
And it is awful, isn't it? And this is what J.D. Vance was saying earlier about the freedom of speech and how we've criminalised people thinking about things. We need to get a world where we can talk about things, encourage people with opposite views, because it's only as a result of informed decisions that we can make appropriate.
And who'd have thought? You know, I was speaking to someone tonight who's, you know, in the late 70s, and she was going, I can't believe we're in a world, we live in a country now where thought crime, they're in your own house, you can be...
It's crazy.
It really is Orwellian.
And WhatsApp messages and so on and so forth, looking at people's phones, listening to banter between people. What can we do, though? Because it's really, really important, and I want to try and see if we can help, using the platform that we have to talk to people. How can we make you feel... You're absolutely right. How can we make you feel less scared?
That this is really, like, good for what you're doing. You're using your platform for good. You're not trying to brainwash people. You're clicking into, like, you know, everyone gets a light bulb.
Yeah, but they're going to try and shut this down. You know, they're looking at Twitter and saying we're going to try. But the good thing is, if they start on American big tech companies, they're going to get sanctioned. So, because they're not going to stand for freedom of speech closing down, but on their companies, on their watch. Same with Apple. I mean, Apple already won a case in America when America tried to do that, get them to unencrypt stuff, and they will unencrypt stuff if they, you know, see there's a necessary case. But this government here wanted it just open. We want to be able to look in anyone's account around the world. Anyway, thanks, Michelle. Let's go.
Thanks, Michelle. Love to speak.
Thanks, Michelle. Let's go to Paul in Horsham.
Hey, Paul.
Hello there.
All right, mate. What do you want to say?
Yeah, it's a shame that young lady's not on air at the moment because I wanted to talk to her. What country does she come from?
Kazakhstan. She's from actually where it's happening, this mooted actual castration for paedophiles.
And what country is that?
Kazakhstan. You know, where Borat's from.
Okay, got you. Right, okay. Yeah, I agree with what she says, 110%. But we're missing something here.
What's that then?
What do they do to female paedophiles?
Oh, I don't know.
What would you suggest?
That's a good point. Yeah, what would you suggest?
I don't know. That's why I'm phoning in.
Is there an equivalent sort of?
Well, there are female paedophiles out there.
I know, but is there an equivalent operation that could do?
I'm not a GP. That's what I'm phoning in.
It's an interesting point. I think most are male, but yeah, there definitely are females.
No, I think it's you're right. You need
but
to.
Don't ask us what do we know about that. But thanks, Paul. Let's go to Gary in West Sussex.
Hello, Gary.
Yeah, I'm not happy about you guys talking about such extremities of paedophilia and castration. God, where are we at the moment in this?
Well, what should you do with paedophiles? You think we were being hurtful to paedophiles? What should be done about them?
You're putting too much emphasis on something which is very little and very limited. You're not really, guys. You're not really putting things into bogus. The most important things, and because the BBC, the Daily Express, and all these media people are being over this, but over and over and over, as if they're all over the place. And we've got lots and lots and lots of people who are much, much more dangerous in every sense of the word. Why do you keep on catching on this? Because it's the image, the pictorial of these things. What about...
You make an interesting point, because we don't want to... the other issues as well. This is a particular item on Kazakhstan because we had an expert here who could talk about it. What would you cover? What would you like to see us talk about?
I would like you to talk about how people in the West, in Europe and Ukraine and Easter, etc., are so much subject to nonsense, rubbish.
I don't know what you're talking about, really. Anyway, look, thanks, Gary. Look, do you want to win 20... Thanks, Gaz. If you want to win 25 grand, look, Mike Graham's coming, especially to tell us how you can win it. Go ahead, Mike. Let's hear.
It's competition time, and we're giving you a chance to win a whopping £25,000. So what do you need to do to get involved? All you have to do is text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post. It's as simple as that. Once again, to get involved, just text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post.
18 plus, UK excluding NI. Enter by SMS for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on March the 3rd, 2025. Or send your name, email and contact number to £25,000 cash competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on March the 6th, 2025. This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mike. I might enter that myself. You can't. You work for the station. Oh, no. Well, anyway, we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
James Wales, he'll be very angry that I called him Wales. He's in denial that there's an S on his name. He's left a bit early. He'll be back next week on Friday again.
Great to see him, though. It's always great to see him.
He's looking great, isn't he?
And I tell you what, he always says it gives him an energy.
It's like medicine. He's sitting next to me, I think. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Steve in Manchester, you want to talk about the thought police?
Oh, good.
Not really. I love the whales, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't he?
Exactly. He didn't know. It's funny because the guy who started Wikipedia, his name's James Whale.
Jimmy.
Very close to James Whale's real name. Anyway, Steve, what do you want to say?
How you doing, Ash?
All right, man.
Honorary Mank. How are you doing, Ash?
Hey, good to see you.
The thing is, if you look at barometers, poll tax trialled in Scotland didn't work. Destroyed Thatcher, didn't it, I guess?
The poll tax. Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing is the poll tax, which is sort of a little thing in comparison to what's happening now, brought everyone onto the streets. We're sort of dumbed down as a nation now. I think the threats of prison and being called far right hasn't helped, but I think even before that, we don't really go out and protest anymore, do we?
So do you think there's going to be civil war? This is what Elon Musk said. There's going to be civil war in the UK?
Well, listen, I've never been on a protest march in my life. I've never been a member of a political party in my life.
Right.
I'm a floating voter, so I kind of work up to the 5 years, and then I make an informed decision at the time, and if I don't agree with yay or nay, then I vote green or something like that, right? But I was kind of like listening to what you're saying before. It's almost like if you express a certain opinion, people like go, well, okay. Do you remember when Thatcher threw the poll tax into this place? Oh my God! Let's look at what's happened recently with Sturgeon, with the blokes with cocks in frocks going in jails, with the I'm allowed to say that. With the you can't even talk round the dinner table, stuff like that. Anyway,
you can't even pray in your own house silently. So there is a thought police. Literally, we have thought police now.
Yeah, the SNP have absolutely imploded. Now, if they try that down in here, there's 56 million, 58 million people in this country. It ain't going to work, brother. I'm telling you.
Are you sure, though? Because they already, they've slipped in the blasphemy laws, without actually putting them through. They call it racial harassment.
Because I think even though the majority made the loudest, the minority made the loudest noise at this point, there's a lot of people in this country that are really pissed off with what's going on.
You make such a brilliant point, and I think that this is what I was saying earlier about, you look at the US, and the reason that Trump is so popular at the moment is he's been listening to the people and working out the issues that concern them and responding accordingly. What should Starmer do?
Who's going to listen to us? Who's going to listen to the majority instead of the minority? That's the point.
They're not going to.
And I think that will be the base of the foundation of the next election is, listen, we're going to listen to the minority or the majority. And I reckon, listen, do you know what? I'm sick and tired. Honestly, I really want to swear here, but I'm not going to.
You already have.
Sick and tired of... No, I've not.
You said cocks.
I've not. Did I say cocks?
Yeah.
Brian.
I'm sorry that he said cocks.
Right, I apologise thoroughly, but I'm sick and tired.
You say bloody, but stop with the cocks.
Ash, cool down, man. I'm sick and tired of Cockneys telling me how... I'm sick and tired of how Cockneys are telling me how... But listen, we've got a good mayor up here in Andy Burnham. He's left-wing, but... Listen, I'm sick and tired of Cockneys telling me how bad London is, and then they keep voting that nutter in. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, yeah, I mean, is Burnham any good himself? I mean, he's not really speaking up, is he? He's not speaking up against Starmer or anything about all these...
He's a lot better than Khan, and he's...
Well, yeah, that's not very difficult, though, is it?
So, listen, if you don't like it, don't vote for it, right? If you keep voting for it, then...
Well, and the important thing, and we touched on this earlier, people have to vote.
We have to have compulsory voting. Or you'll end up with sectarian voting, where a head of the family just gets postal voting.
Apathy is always the winner in elections, and it's got to stop.
You have to vote with your conscience and what you believe in. The thing is, if people keep voting for Khan in London, but they don't quite believe in the other guy, then you...
Well, it's sectarian voting, isn't it? Anyway, thanks, Steve. Let's go to Keith. We're probably going to be last call. Let's go to Keith in Hampshire.
Hi, Keith.
All right, Ash.
All right.
It's the great James Well departed the building.
He's gone. We've got Andrew Eborn here, though, as well.
That's all right.
No, James is a legend. He's brilliant.
He's a legend.
Well, I used to watch James Well, on his late show.
Lovely show. Loved it.
Yeah. Anyway, Keith, what's up, man?
Right, immigration, right? I don't know where to start, right? And you're probably going to give me a bollocking. I'm allowed to say that.
We've only got a couple of minutes, so what is it?
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
They've come across over several countries, safe countries.
Yeah.
They're coming over here on little boats, right? And our poxy government, right? We need doctors and nurses and architects and engineers, right, to get in the NHS, right? What a load of crap, because would a doctor, a qualified person, risk their lives coming over here on a boat?
No, they're not doctors.
When they could just get on a plane, they're paying... thousands of pounds to come over in rubber dinghies across the English Channel, and I fish it, and it's one of the dangerous and busiest
very dangerous,
lines
yes,
in the world, if not the world.
I think it's the busiest shipping route.
It is, but you make an interesting point, and there are two things on this. One is that there's a legitimate way of coming through, and if there are certain skills, you come through the legitimate one. Yeah. If you come through as an illegal, we have to be a lot tougher on that. It's unfair. We do not have the resources to look after people already here, so we cannot take the extras.
The other thing is they throw the passports away. I mean, that should be immediate, a refusal, because you're obviously hiding something.
Yeah, if you're a doctor or a highly qualified person, why would you risk your life?
You get it anyway.
Exactly, come through legitimately, and I think that's people always get confused, and this is why it's so good that you made this call. People get confused about the legitimate people who come through the official routes, and there are very good
official routes. Which was too many anyway. It was like 1 million net anyway. It was ridiculous.
But the illegal ones we need to clamp down on, and the advertising at the moment, this is what they're saying in the Eye in today's paper, exactly on that sort of stuff. We need to be much, much tougher on that sort of stuff. We cannot afford, whatever the sob stories are, we can't afford to let people in because we need to look after people here at the moment.